Can you all remain standing for a moment of silent prayer and meditation? Thank you. We may all be seated. Good morning, honorable members and our guests. Let me take this opportunity to welcome our Honorable Premier, members of the Executive Council, those that are here and those that are connected virtually, our Chief Whip, leaders of political parties, all members of the Provincial Legislature, our presiding officers, our guests, the media, and the people of Gauteng. Thank you very much for joining this meeting today, wherein we are going to be debating the state of the province as presented on Monday, the 21st of February. I hope the Premier, you had a nice birthday a day after. Yeah, thank you very much. We have not received any official apologies except to indicate that there were members who were supposed to join us physically, but due to other issues, they requested to join online, but that is not an apology because they are already in the house. It's just that I needed to indicate. Honorable colleagues, I just want to remind you and those that are joining virtually to fill in the attendance register and send it through. At times we do forget to send it back. Thank you very much. Let me also announce that in accordance with Part 4 of the Conflict of Interest, the Code and Disclosure Framework for members of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, all members are required to disclose particulars of all their registrable interests within 30 days after opening of the legislature or appointment of the member. All members are therefore required to complete and submit the declaration of interest to the Office of the Integrity Commissioner at the earliest convenience and not later than the 21st of March. So our 30 days ends on the 20th of March. So please ensure that that declaration of interest has been submitted. I now going to call upon members who want to make an announcement. I was advised that Honorable Mabala is going to do an announcement. Honorable Mabala.
Yes. Yes, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. On Friday, the 18th of February 2022, the economic freedom fighters under the capable leadership of the CAC and President Julius Sello Malema officially launched its 1 million membership campaign at the Hector Peterson Memorial in Soweto. The aim of this campaign is to recruit 1 million EFF members and beyond by end of December 2022. As the July movement, we are turning 9 this year, and we take pride that currently we have over 600,000 EFF members in good standing.
Honorable Mabala, that was an announcement, it's not a statement. Honorable Mabala. Honorable Mabala.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Mabala, that was an announcement, not a statement. I don't have any other member who wants to make an announcement.
Proper statement, Honorable Mabala, proper statement.
Let me therefore continue. In terms of Rule 79, subsection 1, there is no MEC statement. In terms of Rule 81, subsection 1, there is no member statement. I also wish to check if is there a member who wants to give a notice of a motion in terms of Rule 121. There is none. Thank you very much, colleagues. I wish to bring to your attention the rules applicable for this particular sitting. Rule 80, subsection 2, read with section 117 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, which deals with the freedom of speech. It reads as follows. In accordance with section 117 sub 1 sub A of the Constitution, members must be allowed to speak and debate freely in the House and its committees as and when recognized by the presiding officer in line with the orders of the day in the speaking list. You must be recognized. You don't just stand up and speak. The Constitution further gives members the freedom of speech in the legislature subject to the rules and orders. Both principles of freedom of speech and the standing rules are fundamental in ensuring orderly debate and effective conduct of parliamentary business. The standing rules relating to order and debate are aimed at not limiting freedom of speech, but at guiding debate in the context of freedom of speech so as to allow reasonable and open consideration of controversial issues. The rules also seek to promote the responsible exercise of the privileges of freedom of speech, and furthermore, procedures imposed by the rules are designed to allow this to be done in an orderly fashion. Rule 77, subsection 5, provides that at the end of each speech, according to the speaking list, any member, including members who have already spoken in the debate, may indicate to the presiding officer that he or she wishes to ask a question or make a remark directly related to the speech. It's either a question or it's a short remark. Then Rule 77, subsection 8, provides that the Speaker may use her discretion to call on any member to rise and speak during this particular time. Rule 83, subsection 2, a member who wishes to speak in a debate but is not on the speaking list must indicate his or her wish to the presiding officer by rising in his seat or her seat or by show of a hand. This rule is only applicable if the party to whom the member belongs has free time available. If there is no free time, the member will not be able to rise under this particular rule. Rule 88, members may interrupt a member who is speaking in a debate only to raise a point of order, to raise a matter of privilege, or call attention to the presence of an unauthorized person. That is the only time where you can actually interrupt. I hope this explanation will assist members in correctly applying the rules during the debate of the House. Let me call upon the Secretary to read the order.
Debate on Premier's State of the Province Address.
Honorable Msimanga.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, to the Honorable Premier, honorable members of the Provincial Legislature, Batuba Gauteng, good morning. I'm reminded of a poem written by Welly Serote for Don M, where he says the following. Oh, wow. Tomato, tomato. Anyway. Hey, where he says that it is a dry white season. Dark leaves don't last. Their brief leaves dry out. And with a broken heart, they dive down gently, headed for the earth. Not even bleeding, it is a dry white season. My brother, only the trees know the pain as they still stand erect, dry like steel, their branches dry like wire. Indeed, it is a dry white season. But seasons come and seasons pass, close quote. Gauteng is currently going through its own dry white season. How is this possible? Well, let's take a look at the current economic situation in our province. We'll start with unemployment and the revitalization of the township economy that the Premier was talking about. The unemployment rate in our province is extremely high, Premier. Currently, the figure stands at about 37.8% and has been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has seen some numerous businesses closing their doors during the hard lockdown period when the pandemic was at its highest. To further add to the province's woes is the July's uprising that we saw starting in KZN and finding its way here in Gauteng. This province erupted with violence, which saw many residents, particularly those living in the townships, take to the streets in protest and began the looting of businesses located in various areas. While some may say that this had all the hallmarks of a coup and was not because of poverty, I beg to differ. Our residents are angry and they are hungry. They are fed up with the dry, white season they are going through. They are fed up with a government and political promises that have only meant to get political parties voted on election day. They no longer just want promises after promises year in and year out. They want solution and they want answers and they want them now. They no longer can stand to hear about SOPA 1 million and not see the results thereof. They can no longer wait to hear. They can no longer wait and hear about promises of houses that are to be built but are not being built. They can no longer sit by and wait and hear about a new hospital, a new clinic, this revolutionary industrial revolution that is starting here, is starting there, but yet they are not benefiting from that. They can no longer have more promises of a better life while their lives are deteriorating on a daily basis. For the past 8 years, we have been hearing the same rhetoric from you, Premier Makhura, about the job creation in our province and the stimulation of our township economy. Our residents are indeed tired of empty promises. In 2014, the provincial government vowed to boost employment and economic inclusion by procuring 75% of all goods and services from the South African producers, especially SMMEs in the township entrepreneurs and the black-owned women and youth enterprises. That hasn't happened, and the figures are there to speak for themselves. Again, a similar promise was made in 2019 that 30% of the Gauteng's budget will be spent on procuring goods and services from businesses in townships. This is also not achieved as we speak. Madam Speaker, Honorable Premier, this is a worrying trend, given that if we go into our townships like Soweto, you will find businesses owned by residents from the area who are more than capable of providing goods and services that may be needed by this government, but we're still not procuring from them. The major complaint I've heard from some of these businesses is that the struggle to procure tenders from the provincial government, and in order for them to get a tiny piece of the pie, they have to rely on the bigger companies who will then subcontract them. Why can't we break some of these contracts down so that small businesses are able to then benefit from that? Why are we not able to break? Why are the tender qualify? Because sometimes you require that they need to have enough for them to be able to procure. So if you break it down, they should be able to then have access to be able to then fund what they're going to be buying and procuring on behalf of government. But this is not happening. This is not happening. What we've instead seen is that big companies are continuing to benefit from contracts time and time again. We might be making fun of it, but we have seen this happening time and time again. We have seen this happening time and time again, and as I said, the people of this province are tired of the dry, white season. The true reality is that most of these businesses are also suffering because they're not being paid on time. Most of these businesses do procure for government, they do work for government, but they've gone under, ma'am. The reason, they're not being paid on time. Instead, we have 150 million that is being spent somewhere, and now we have shifted work to the national office. We have 500 million that have been spent to go and build up or fix a hospital, yet that hospital is only housing about 6 patients. That's the kind of government that these people are tired of and have been getting. The people are tired of the dry white season. They want this season to come to pass. They want change. And they are asking you, Premier, we cannot wait for 2 years for this change to come. They are asking you to ensure that this is actually done right now. The young people of this province are saying it cannot be that we continue to have 60% of the unemployed being the young people of this province. It cannot be that you're talking about the SOPA 1 million and the 750,000 or 780,000 people that you have reached, but they are still asking, who have been benefiting from this program? Who are these people that have been assisted? Where is this assistance that we hear in and day out? Where are these bursaries that we are hearing about day in and day out? Who is benefiting from that? The people of Kagiso, the people of Makhura City, the people of Tembisa are saying, we are done with empty promises. We want delivery and we want it now. We don't need new bills like the Township Economic Development Bill. We just need you, Premier, and your MECs to get to doing your job. That's what we need. We don't need more commissions. We don't need side committees to do what your MECs are supposed to be doing, because that's now, looks like now that's the trend. It started with the president establishing things in his office that are supposed to be done by the ministers. And we see the trend now developing again by you. You are now coming up with commissions to talk about problems instead of them being the solutions to the problems. How many commissions have we had? What have been the results of that? We can talk of the commissions. One of them could be the e-toll one. What did we get out of that? We still have the e-tolls up. We spend millions of rent, but no results thereof. So why we continue to have these things? The people are tired of the dry white season. I want to talk about the infrastructure and want to say that infrastructure is the key driver of job creation in any economy. It is one of the essential arteries of our economy, as the maintenance of our critical infrastructure like roads, hospitals, schools, libraries, and substations are vital if we want an economy that is able to grow and for a conducive environment to be created for the private sector, not just within our borders of our country, but also internationally, to attract investment to our province. But the sad reality is, and Honourable Premier, you must admit, and you did admit this at the start of your State of the Province address, that the Department of Infrastructure Development has failed in this regard. They have failed the residents of Gauteng. They have failed our economy. Yet, you, Premier Makhura, you do not want to get rid of this useless department. We have said to you, disband this department. Make sure that the departments that are responsible for some of these functions will be able to then deal with that. The Department of Education. Ndatelisufi is sitting here with learners that are not placed in schools, while we have built schools that cannot be occupied. We have built schools that have been built on top of sewer lines, that have been built on wetlands. We have built schools, or we still have schools that still are sitting with asbestos. Yet you have a department, a full-fledged department with an MEC that have done absolutely nothing. We have spent 500 million, Premier, on a hospital that now we are told, this hospital, by the way, hasn't been donated or doesn't belong to Gauteng government. The question is, why do you spend R500 million on something that is not yours? Why spend R500 million on something that by the end of a year or two is going to be taken away from you? And worse off, these are the same, if you go to the same hospital right now, you find that there's only between 3 and 6 people that are in that particular hospital. If this is not a slap across the face of the taxpayers and the poor people of this particular province of ours, then I don't know what is. To this end, Premier, we have opted to table a motion for the dissolution of the Department of Infrastructure Development and the removal of MEC Tasmin Mutara. Here are but a few examples of the critical projects undertaken by the department that have not been completed on time, and where it was eventually completed, they were done so over budget. And still, a number of issues still needs to be resolved in these projects. The Anglo-Ashanti, I've spoken about that just now, that we had spent, or a budget, it started with a budget of 50 million rand and has ballooned to 500 million. And yet now we are told that this is not a property of government. Maibu, a primary school, which was handed over to the appointed contractor in 2015, and to date is still not complete. The construction took place illegally as building plans had not been approved, and the budget to the project had ballooned to over 100 million, while the school has been allegedly built on a sewer line. The Neptula LSN school could not receive an occupancy certificate. This school was built on wetland, and the boarding school hostel could not be occupied until remedial work was done. In addition, water damage to the school had been very extensive. The Department of Education, I'm sure, could have done a better job. If it had been capacitated to look into this matter, they would have done a better job. So really, you don't need an MEC to continue to mess up while you have people that are focused on service delivery that can be doing the job. And maybe this is something that you need to consider, Premier. And we are going to be tabling that motion in this House in the weeks to come. The department should be dissolved, as I said, and services should be given to those departments that are supposed to be providing services and that is aligned to the relevant department, so that the current departments, which are customer-facing, will be able to then do the job on time, will do the job within cost, and will ensure that service delivery does take place. Premier, we all know that corruption within government departments exists. But the COVID-19 pandemic exposed just how deeply the rot of corruption runs in this province. In 2015, a commitment was made by yourself that integrity management and anti-corruption unit will be fully operational by the end of that year. Again, this did not happen. It is definitely a dry, white season for this province.
You are corrupt,
you keep talking about being able to deal with corruption. You have been talking about being able to give us the reports that we have been waiting for since 2015. The reports that every year you keep saying, I have the reports, I will table them. We're still waiting to hear about the Alexander Renewal Project. We're still waiting to hear from you about the Mfuleni Renewal Project. We're still waiting to hear about so many of the forensic reports that you said will be handed over. We've given you, we've requested through the PIA Act, we're still not receiving the reports. What is it that has been hidden in those reports that you don't want to see the time of day? Could it be that maybe comrades need to be protected? Comrades that are somehow in those reports and fingered in those reports need to be protected. Could it be that you are just seeing your term through? The people of Gauteng cannot wait for you to see your term through. They want answers, and they want answers now. They want to ensure that those that have been fingered in wrongdoing will face the might of law. Taking on just junior officials and parading them on TV or in the newspapers is not going to be the solution. The solution to stop corruption in these departments and in this government is to once and for all be able to show that this premier and this government doesn't take any nonsense when it comes to wrongdoing. And people are not supposed to just be suspended and later on resign and take their pension money and then go into sunset or be recycled into other departments. The true test is you putting, some of these people behind bars, and including some of the people that are wearing suits, sitting in some of the chambers, and we calling them honorable members. It is public money that has been looted by thieves masquerading as politicians and officials who unashamedly steal our hard-earned taxes. This needs to end, and it needs to end now. Corruption cannot and should not be the norm of our government. We told you when you came in 2014 that if you were to fight this corruption scourge head on, we will be standing side by side with you. Premier, how can we trust you, and how can the people of Gauteng trust you? While just last year, we heard of people in your own office who were responsible for giving instructions to the Department of Health officials in terms of who should be receiving tenders, who should be receiving work. How can we trust that when you talk about ensuring that there is fairness in the awarding of contracts, how can we trust that when you talk about ensuring that there is no corruption, that you mean it? While you haven't even shown us taking action of the same people sitting in your immediate office. We're still waiting to hear, what are we doing about it? Are we still going to wait another year as you promised that you have a report and you're ready? Are we still going to wait for another year before that report sees the time of day? Are you scared that the report might implicate people that are close to you? Are you scared that maybe that will also open up a whole can of worms? What is it that has kept you from releasing some of this report? During the last year's SOPA, you promised to make available the forensic investigation cases of a number of officials. I fail to understand how you can come and tell us that only 73 forensic investigation and the 66 cases that were referred to the law enforcement, and so far we still haven't seen even one prosecution that has taken place. You come up, Premier, and you tell us about people being disciplined. But what we know is that people are not being disciplined. People resign, they take their pension money, and then they go into sunset. And to you, that is the end of it. Please tell us, when you respond, who has been blocked from accessing their pension, who is now sitting at home and facing disciplinary and actually even facing a prosecution by the prosecuting authority in South Africa. If you can then give us those answers, perhaps there can be a bit of a spark that can be rekindled here in terms of you being able to tackle the issue of corruption head on. And we want to hear also, how are you planning on ensuring that going forward, what we have seen in the last 2 years is not going to repeat itself here in Gauteng? Gauteng, as per the SIU report, contributes to about 60% of all the cases of corruption in the last 2 years. 60% of what has happened in the last 2 years came from Gauteng. How is that in any way normal? How is that in any way something that should be allowed to continue to happen? Madam Speaker, Honorable Premier, it is a dry, wet season, but seasons come to pass. And in order for this season to pass, we need firm political will. We need a Premier who is prepared to do what is necessary to ensure that our residents are given proper basic services. We need to ensure that the Premier who is here is not going to be selling pipe dreams to the residents of this beautiful province of ours. We do not need any more committees or commissions to be established. We need action. What we need is for you, Premier, to make sure that all your MECs do what is required of them, and that is to see that our residents live in a province that works like a well-oiled machine, so that this season that we are in can come to pass. If this does not happen, we will see more of the protest action that we saw in July last year, as our residents, particularly those who are unemployed, become more and more disillusioned with your administration. Be bold and hold your MECs whose departments are failing when it comes to service delivery to account. Remove them if needs be. Over the last 8 years, Premier, you have either partially met or not met any of the 104 promises that you have made during your SOPA speeches. This ship will not continue to float if the rot continues to fester. And this dry, wet season will not come to an end. Show us that the residents of Gauteng do matter to you. Show us that you do have the political will and the muscle to deliver basic services to our residents, to grow the economy so that our province can once again be known as the city and the province of gold that glimmers with hope, where a better life can be built for all those who live in the province. Let us work together to making sure that Gauteng is great again. You have the opportunity to turn things around, Premier, but the people of Gauteng are not going to wait for too long for you. We cannot afford another unrest that is caused by this government's inability to deliver. We cannot afford to have another term where we are promoting comrades and not dealing with the rot that is there in the departments. We cannot continue to have more empty promises of houses built there, of jobs created there, of prawn farms, of dealing with all the nonsensical things that the people have been raising but not getting answers to. What we're saying, Premier, is let us ensure that we get onto the ground. We keep the people that are supposed to be delivering to account and to tell us what is it that they have done. We're still waiting, Premier, by the way, for the job description of not only the MECs, but to see what is the scorecard. What is it that you said to us about 2 years ago about ensuring that you will be able to then show us what are the KPIs and how you will be able to hold people to account. We're still waiting for that. That was promised by you 2 years ago, and we still haven't seen that. How do we know that they're succeeding? How do we know that they are failing? One of the things that I wish that you will also talk to in closing, Premier, is that when you do address us, please tell the people of Gauteng that in certain parts of Gauteng, there will not be any further development. Why? Because Rainwater and Eskom has said, because of the lack of capacity, they will not be able to allow for expansion to take place. So we can talk about the land redistribution that you always talk about. But the fact of the matter that in certain parts, because Eskom's inability to be able to provide electricity and Rainwater's inability to ensure that water is pumped to these particular areas, that development cannot take place. What is it that you're going to do about it? Are you going to address it? Or again, are we going to hear next year of new pipe dreams again instead of delivery? The people of Gauteng cannot continue to have a dry white season. They want answers, they want delivery. Today, when you stand and respond, instead of exchanging insults, give facts in terms of what is going to be done, give further, give proper dates, deadlines that we can all look at and say, these are things that are going to happen when they're going to happen. And once that is done, we can then say there is a premier that has a plan about where we're going as a province. Thank you very much.
You are part of the 60%.
Honorable
That's
Chief
why
Whip.
they move you for the strategy. They move you because you are corrupt. Come here, speak as if you are honorable.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Where's Member Moriarty? Is that not KIDA deployment? Madam Speaker, Honorable Premier and MECs, Honorable Members, invited guests. Madam Speaker, today we debate the State of the Province address, which takes place shortly after the midterm of the 6th administration. When we kicked off the 6th term in May 2019, we were quite very aware of the difficult task that lies ahead. We, however, never imagined that we will be confronted by a devastating pandemic, COVID-19, a pandemic that engulfed the world, played a havoc on the economy, increased social ills, and threatened the very existence of humankind. 2 years later, the ANC-led government is in a much better place after its studious way in managing the virus than we were when the pandemic first hit in March 2020. This is evidenced by the SOPA delivered by Premier on Monday. We especially note the progress in vaccination. 5.3 million individuals have been vaccinated and more than 8.6 million vaccine doses administered in this province. Madam Speaker, this is in line with the commitment made by the ANC in the past. We committed to winning the battle against the COVID-19 pandemic and have made significant strides in this regard. We are pleased by the evidence portrayed by the Premier in SOPA indicating that the ANC-led government is aligned to 2019 manifesto and our annual Makhura. Madam Speaker, in 2019, through our manifesto, we committed to transforming the economy to serve all the people, build a safer community, fight corruption and promote integrity, strengthen governance and public institutions, build national unity, embrace our diversity, build South Africa, Africa and the world. Allow me, Madam Speaker, to highlight some of the key takeaways for the ANC in SOPA as delivered on Monday in line with our priorities. The commitment of the ANC-led government to maintain the same sense of urgency with which it dealt with COVID-19 is to be applauded. This will accelerate service delivery in line with the ANC campaign of Tuma Mina, where the ANC committed to work for our people, ending corruption and making sure service delivery is upheld. We are indeed seeing the progress that continues to shine in this regard. We also note with enthusiasm that the ANC-led government has committed itself to strengthen prevention, detection, investigation, and resolution of procedures to maintain clean governance. Clean governance is at the core of the ANC principles. For far too long, corrupt elements have been hiding behind the name of the ANC to swindle government and state-owned institutions and steal from our people. The successful institutionalization of the open tender system and cooperation with the Public Service Commission to address the allegation related to human resource management within the Gauteng Provincial Government Department are welcome. We are equally pleased with the progress made in the Tshwane SEZ and that our commitment in reigniting the economy and creating jobs in these particular terms are coming to realization. The 45 billion commitment by local investors in the Vaal River SEZ is one of the major developments of this ANC-led government. The ANC committed itself to investing in the economy for inclusive growth through building a durable social compact between business, government and labour for the benefit of all South Africans. Our work in this regard is coming to fruition. This SOPA could not have overemphasized on our manifesto. Madam Speaker, if there's any lesson the COVID-19 experience has taught us, it is that despite our many challenges as a nation, we have a strong people-centered government that can deliver services. Indeed, the African proverb made popular by Nigerian writer Chinua Achebe that, I quote, "Until the lions have their own historians, the history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter," remains true. The doom and gloom predicted by those whose interest is on preserving the rights of minority and maintaining white privilege and the construct of apartheid architect and colonial gains was proved wrong. The Gauteng health system did not collapse. Instead, the ANC-led government managed the COVID-19 virus with the agency it required and put the people of this province first. Madam Speaker, we note the huge investment in infrastructure projects over the past few years. The ANC-led government is an activist government that acknowledges that it can never work alone. Ours is to put the people of this province in the forefront. We have noted with concern the organized crime syndicate that are reversing the gains of our democracy through destroying our infrastructure. It cannot be that the infrastructure that belongs to our people is destroyed unabated and the criminal elements steal away from the future of our children and we allow it to happen. This cannot be tolerated. We urge our communities to jealously guard the gains of our democracy. To that extent, the ANC must ensure it strengthens the participation of our people at a local level. Madam Speaker, Amika Cabral said, I quote, "Hide nothing from the masses of our people, tell no lies, expose lies whenever they are told, mask no difficulties, mistakes, failures, claim no easy victories." If you ask me today if the journey we have traveled since the beginning of this term in the realization of emancipation of our people from the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment, I will be the first to concede. It's not been easy. In fact, it has been one of the most difficult journeys. Our economy is growing at a snail pace while our population continues to increase. The limited resources that are at the government disposal are strained due to competing needs. Gauteng has become the province of choice for those who search for greener pastures, including people from outside of our borders. We are at all times forced to consider some needs above others. As an activist government, our eyes are not closed and our ears are not deaf. We see the suffering of our people and hear their cries. In closing, Madam Speaker, the past 2 years have been truly difficult as evidence of our people. Families lost their beloved ones, companies closed, and people lost their livelihood. Despite the challenges, the ANC government remains steadfast and unwavering in their commitment to create a better life for all. We pass our sincere gratitude to you, Comrade Premier David Makhura, for having managed to, over the last 8 years, since you took over, steer the Gauteng Provincial Government to building the Gauteng we all want to live in. We will strengthen our oversight mechanism to ensure that the commitment made are realized. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Mukwebo.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The residents of our province, Gauteng, you know, as the EFF, we would like to share with our residents the disappointment which we faced on Monday from our Premier. You know what hurt us most is when we asked the Premier to say, the programs which you speak about, which you are saying they have been implemented in this province, where and which region, exactly the word, because we do oversights unannounced. On economy, Speaker and Premier, it's a shame to us as a province to be led by the Premier who can mislead the people of Gauteng. Yesterday, I went to Mohlakeng, Kasileb. It's a white elephant. There is nothing happening there. One asked a question to say, it's just you tick that you did a state of the province of address. But why do you mislead our residents in this province by mentioning what is not there? But we are not surprised because you take it from your president, who always mentioned people, when you go and verify, you don't find them. Speaker, it goes without a say that majority of our people are unemployed in this province, more especially the youth. Premier, you don't have a plan to address this unemployment of the youth because it always increases, and the youth are saying all over in this province where we go to say, this government let us down. We don't even know what to do when the elections comes. Whereas I sit at the corner, not even vote. The ANC-led government in this province is letting our people down. It's going to be a history which will read that Premier Makhura, by your time, unemployment rate, the corruption which happened in your department as the biggest contributor of a PPE scandal in your leadership, no one has been held accountable. Your departments, all of them, they collapsed. We call them in our committees. When they come there, there's nothing to explain to ourselves as committees. It shows that there is no political oversight from your executive. I can mention one executive because some of them, they are protected from your office. It's an embarrassment, the executive member of sports. You know, you just employ HOD, within 3 months the HOD is removed. And that HOD is being shoved now under the carpet to the Department of Education. What that tells the residents of Gauteng, it means you employ comrades, people who are not capable even to assist the department to get out from the situation they are in. Speaker, there is an Operation Dudula which is misguided and directed at the wrong person. This operation was supposed to have been directed to your doorstep, Premier, and your administration. The sooner these people they come to your office and demand the employment, the sooner these people they come to your office and say, as the ANC government, what are you doing to us? They must leave our African brothers and our sisters. As the EFF will continue to protect our brothers, there is no illegal immigrant in this country. All of us, we are Africans, we are in Africa, and we subscribe to one Africa. Because Africa belongs to us, black people, not these ones who are sitting on my side, on my right-hand side here. Because I can say to you now, to say these ones on the right-hand side, the party position of the EFF will remain to our people and know that why the EFF is existing in this province. Don't be shocked like other people who are sitting on my side here. They just woke up after elections and they've got mayors in Gauteng. As the leader of this party, I can tell you now that we have got a way as the EFF. We know that our competitor is the ANC. These ones who are using them to go straight to the biggest corrupt people on the far left. Because we are coming for you in 2024. And our people in this province, they rejected you from 50%. Now you are sitting at 42%.
You are misled.
On education, Speaker, the Premier, you plan to invest on early childhood development without giving concrete targets of what you want to achieve. This will be a useless exercise. ECD should be accompanied by properly coordinated universal curriculum. ECD practitioners must be employed on full time, not contract workers. Honorable Speaker, we will be pleased if the Premier had indicated how many learners enrolled from grade 1 in 2009, and of that number, how many wrote their matric last year in 2021. That was something which he was supposed to cherish when he said, we are proud as the education system in this province. I can tell you now, our people are sitting at home. We have got learners and parents who are in our offices now because the EFF, we are the only people who can speak for our black majority, more especially in this province. Our people are sitting at home with this system of online. It's an embarrassment because I went myself, because I serve in that committee of education. I met a parent who's saving a child in the same school. She applied online, the address, same thing. But the result, when it comes back, they say, no, you are staying far away from the resident, not close to the school. This system, it's also embarrassing our people because it can't place them where they're supposed to go. As the EFF, we prefer the walk-ins. We must have walk-ins in our school. You know, Premier, I can agree with you on one thing of infrastructure because you acknowledge that DID is a problem in this province. It is a fact, it's a problem, DID. But why don't you do a political oversight? Because we gave you powers when you were elected here. Even though the EFF, we never voted for you because you were voted by your own majority of ANC people that you can be a premier. DID is a problem. And we are saying to you, remove that department, get people who can do the work. And as the EFF was saying, build the capacity of the state which is your own government. Let's build our own construction company. Let's build our own cement company whereby we can deliver our own services to our people. We must not rely to incompetent people which you have in those departments. I can tell you on social development, they are saying the officials there, they are even proud because these are comrades, they are branch leaders of your ANC. They even say to the MECs, and proudly so, and they even tell them to say, no, this it can show that these officials are very serious, sabotaging the progress of this province. Why don't we deal with those people? Because we have got evidence that they don't want to work for this province. They don't want even to boost this province. On land rapid release program, we told you last year, Premier, and we agreed with you. But you just agree. But when you go to your own caucus of ANC, you change the mandate. We were ready to support you when you are going to expropriate land without compensation, because that's what the EFF will stand for. There is no eviction which is going to happen in this province. We are going to occupy land, and our people, they need land to stay. That MEC of Coxa can continue with this brigade of eviction. There's nothing you are going to do. We are going to defend our people and occupy the land and build their own houses. You can't sell the stands to our people. Our people, they don't have money to buy those stands from you, from your corrupt officials. Premier, when you respond to us here, you must respond to the question which I'm raising to you in my debate here, which is very simple to you. You have got the MEC in the Treasury there, who even tells the departments that the Department of Sports, she even said proudly, because it was reported to us and we've got the record of it, to say, she said to the Department of Sports, you must not give the grants to the municipalities. So this, it shows that now, because you lost all municipalities in this province. Now this MEC of Treasury, she's going to continue to tell our people that they must not get the grants of sports. Our people will never play in the township. Our people will never get out from the corners. We are the people who subscribe to the sports because we believe the sports unites our youth in our township. The grants MEC must be given to our people. Premier, crack the whip, and the grant must be given to our people. Don't sabotage municipalities like your MEC of Coxa, who is going to put our municipalities under administration. It's not going to happen. We are going to defend And when we defend for service delivery. We are not defending any political party. If you can see as the EFF, we are not defending any political party. We are of a service delivery. Our people, they need service delivery on the ground. And our people, they continue to tell you to say they reject you. They made sure that in our previous local government elections, then you lost elections, you reduced from 50% you got in 2019 to 42.8. It shows that in 2024, economic freedom fighters, which I'm representing here as the leader of the EFF, who are taking over Gauteng, because our people slowly, they're understanding to say the EFF stand for the land, EFF stand for the poor, the marginalized people of our country. Let me tell you on safety. We're embarrassed, the Premier. You know, speak to your own people. You spoke about safety and you praised Commissioner Mawel. How do you praise a commissioner who can react to July unrest? How can you praise a commissioner who can react to thugs, to criminals in this province, in Hillbrow? They are calling themselves Operation Dodola. Those are criminals and you know them, you see them every day, but no police, no community safety, no MEC of community safety who will go to those people and tell them, what are you doing here? But if it was a political party, you were going to react and politicize the matter. Our people are being abused in Hillbrow by Operation Dodola, and we suspect those people are members of your party and you are protecting them. On infrastructure, Premier, our people in Mamelodi, in Soshanguve, we want to build schools there. You, Premier, you need to intervene there. We met a principal in Soshanguve Secondary School, a principal of 64 years old. I remember that old man speaking in front of some of my committee members. Because today you are here, they won't say it, but it's a fact. The old man said to us to say, you know, in this school, I'm producing results. It's painful when even through our SGB, through our raising of our own funds, you know, there are thugs who are business people who come here and ask us, why do you build here? They want 30%. And this is a known factor that we've got criminals who are hijacking this progress of building schools. In Gauteng, we don't have schools and we've got learners who are outside the schools. So as the leadership of this province, Premier, you need to get involved and make sure that our people are protected and our people are saved from what is happening in this province. On roads and transport, you know, it's a shame when you drive everywhere in this province, you get a pothole. Transport, you don't even know what is he doing in that department. What he knows is to appoint the contract which doesn't have BEE certificate. He appoints people, relax, he appoints people who are not capable even to build the roads of this province. His system which he's saving of saying when you want to apply for a license, you need to go online. I can tell you myself, I was supposed to renew my driver's license. You know, it's very painful. I'm from Carltonville, and then I'm being located to go to Amaskral to renew my license. Just think about a poor person who doesn't have money, who can drive and go to Amaskral to renew a license. We are going to have a problem in this province and find our people driving their cars without driver's license. MEC, through your Premier, I'm appealing to you. Let's go back and allow our people to go to their own respective places to apply for their driver's license. Premier, in 2019, you promised that there will be improvement and better facilitation of intermodal facilities, particularly across the province. It remains a fact that the Free intermodal facility is a white elephant in the province. Even the single ticket that you promised at the end of March 2021, it still has to be realized. It shows that the commitment which you told us as a province, they are not happening, Premier. Now, a person asks himself that this Premier is a Premier who doesn't check what he achieved in a year, and you can dwell on that. On Monday, you never told us your achievement as a Premier. Why don't you tell us what you achieved as a premier and what boosts the economy of this province? Because this province deserves a premier who can boost the economy. You have got nothing to say to us because you don't have a plan and your departments, all of them, they collapse. I can tell you for free, all your departments are collapsed. Your members of Executive Council, they can't even do political oversight. You are free premier. It's within your right to change all your MECs who are not capable, who are not even participating to build this province. Premier, DIG needs a reshufflement. Remove the MEC of infrastructure and save this province. We need schools, we need clinics, we need hospitals in this province. I can tell you now, Premier, that on health,
Honourable members, please. Honourable members, please.
Continue to be a problem. You can go to Carltonville, in Mirafo, in Western. There's a clinic there. I don't speak like you, Premier. You can learn a bit from me. I don't speak like you. When I speak exactly even the place where the things are happening. There is a clinic there in Mirafo, in Ward 1, Extension 5. You know, before the bridge, I know you know Elijah Makhura, you normally go there. That's why your corruption is happening there. You must go there and find a clinic there. For the past 2 years, that clinic is complete. But for now, as we speak, windows, they're meshed, everything is collapsing, that building, and then this thing is going to cost us as a province. But now, we are happy because 2024, you won't be the premier with your ANC government. You won't be the government of the ANC in this province. We are going to have a new government, the government of economic freedom fighters, the government which is going to assist our people, the government which is going to give our people services, the government which is going to build schools, the government which is going to make our people to have the dignity back to themselves. Let me tell you the last thing in conclusion, Premier. Crack the whip and make sure that the members of Executive Council, they perform their duties. It's within your right to exercise that. We can support you if you take out some of useless MECs which we have in this province. Because the failure of this department is because of political oversight, which has not been done, which has never happened even before. Exercise that right, you can get the support from the EFF when you are doing what is right for the residents of this province, our residents who want services. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Honourable Chief Whip, you must mention the rule. Whoa.
Madam
The
Speaker,
rule.
89, Rule 89. Madam Speaker, we can't be breathing.
Honourable Khatebe. Honourable. Whoa, Chief Whip.
Madam Speaker,
Honourable Khatebe. Before Chief Whip. Oh. Honourable members. Honourable Khatebe. Honourable Khatebe. I've been calling your name. Honourable members. Honourable Khatebe, I've been calling your name to say, can you please keep quiet? And you continue, you don't listen. I'm not sure whether you want to still continue to be part of this meeting. Can I request, with due respect, that can we be orderly? Heckling is allowed, but as soon as the presiding officer says, can we have order, please, do respect the House. Thank you very much. Honourable Chief Whip, I recognized you.
Madam Speaker, I was just saying that as a legislature, we can't afford to.
Mention the rule
Rule
first.
89. Rule 89. 87.
Okay. I
Rule
agree.
75, Madam Speaker.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Can I speak and finish? 75. But what's your problem? Rule 75. Madam Speaker. Madam.
No, Chief Whip.
Madam Speaker, I was saying we
That
can't
rule is
continue.
not. That rule is not.
That man, Madam Speaker.
I'm ruling, man. Members, Honorable Msimangu. Honorable Msimangu, I need to rule on this order. I don't know why are you so excited like a nursery school child, please. Honorable Chief Whip, Rule 75 is not applicable for this section.
Which one
Thank
is
you very-
applicable?
Whoa.
77.5.
No, I've made a ruling. Let's continue with the
No,
sitting.
I bring my book here. My book is not here.
I have ruled. Okay, Chief Whip, can you go to the next person?
You should know them by heart. You are the chief whip.
Let me call upon Honorable Ghana. Members, honorable members, please. Honorable Ghana.
Imagine a chief whip who doesn't know rules.
Speaker, honorable members, fellow South Africans, the people of Gauteng. In this province, we have a premier, but very little to show for how government, under his leadership, has improved the quality of lives for the people of Gauteng. On Monday, he delivered yet another edition of his plans. It was the 8th edition. Mr. Premier, as I said, I watched you and I listened to you deliver your 8th State of the Province address. You know, your address, Premier, confirmed something that we have long suspected. You have lost the control of your executive. You have become a premier that's unsure of his position, and you seek more reassurance from others than you are able to provide for the residents of this province. Yes. Could it be, Mr. Premier, could it be that what you delivered on Monday was actually your farewell speech? That it was your last State of the Province address? As you prepare to leave office, the question that you must answer is, what have you done for the people of this province? Yes. Let me remind you what you have done. You have presided over the killing of mentally ill patients in Life SD Many. Under you, millions and millions of money was squandered and stolen from the PPE scandal. And under your leadership, we have seen the urbanization of unemployment and poverty. And I must say, you said there when your friends and your comrades were looting the PPE funds. One of your biggest failures, Mr. Premier, is how you have managed the economy of this province. When you came into office in 2014, the unemployment rate was sitting at 24.6. As you prepare to leave, because I know you are going to leave before the end of the year, as you prepare to leave, the unemployment rate in this province is sitting at 37%. When you came into office, 4.8 million people in this province were employed. And as you leave office, only 4.4 million remain in employment. That's more than 400,000 people that have lost their jobs under your leadership. It's no wonder even the people that are sitting on your immediate right, Mr. Premier, can't wait to see you go, because you have been a failure as a leader of this province. You know, on Monday, you were speaking and heralding this Gauteng Township development bill as something that's going to cure, or it's going to be a pill that's going to save you from the failures that you have done in the last 8 years. And I must just quote for you and for the members that are here what the former president, Kgalema Motlanthe, said in 2007. The road, and I quote, "The road is across the board. It's not confined to any level or any area of the country. Almost every project is conceived because it offers opportunities for certain people to make money." That's what this township bill is. You know what you are looking at? You are looking at the development fund, because that's where the money is. If you are not looking at after the money, you'll have said, let it be run by one of the entities in this province. But no, because your own comrades, your own friends want to loot that fund, it must have its own board, it must have its own employees, and it must have its own offices. Why? As we always say, you follow the money and you'll see what the intent is. You know, the way you are talking, you know, you are saying you are going to create a war room to deal with unemployment in this province. You know, the last time there was a war room in this province, we were dealing with COVID-19. And I did not remind you what your own comrades did. There are so many SIU reports on what your own comrades did. They looted the funds. And you know what? The people of this province did not elect you to start war rooms. They elected you to lead. Yes. And you have failed to lead. And as you prepare to leave, Mr. Premier, as you prepare to leave, or you are made to resign by your own comrades, I want to wish you all the best. But the people of Gauteng are not going to miss you. They are not going to miss you. Because your 8 years have been 8 years of wasted. You have wasted 8 years for the people of Gauteng. Now more people in this province are more poorer than they were when you came into office. That's the truth. And you know what? On Monday, you did not speak about these things. You did not speak about them. And that's why the people of this province will not miss you when you leave.
Thank you.
In
Time
June.
up.
I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Tau.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Premier members of the Executive Council, Chief Whip, fellow members of the Legislature. Allow me to respond to the 2022 SOPA and specifically highlight programmatic examples that demonstrate that this sixth administration is turning the corner to build on our democratic gains and deliver socio-economic progress. As the Premier underlined, we are on course in implementing the GGT 2030 Plan of Action. This plan of action is a practical blueprint to rebuild back better, to double the size of the global city-region economy and cut by half unemployment. As the Departments of Economic Development and GDAT, we can identify practical and tangible outputs to demonstrate that the GGT 2030 is delivering on its core mandate. The strategic instruments we are employing towards GGT 2030 implementation includes targeted social compacts. Madam Speaker, through these impactful social compacts, we are creating opportunities in the new industrial corridors anchored by special economic zones, like the Northern Auto Manufacturing Corridor, namely TASES, which is entering this year full operational status. Sizable public investment, which is unlocking substantial private sector investment, has gone into this SEZ. Moreover, I'm informed that TASES receives an average 75% customer satisfaction rating by all investors within the park. The Tshwane SEZ is a lodestar and becoming a benchmark, since it will employ 2,000 people directly and 10,000 indirectly. Already 1 billion rand has been spent through the construction phases on the SMMEs from the Mamelodi area, and over 5,000 of 8,000 construction jobs have already been created. Indeed, the sixth administration is converting electoral promises into practical outputs. The GDD efforts towards localization have been crystallized through efforts to extend the broader SEZ program to include the VAL SEZ, which has already demarcated an investment of over 42 billion rand has already been secured there. We're creating economic opportunities along the N12 Western Corridor anchored in agro-processing and green energy. Practical, tangible outputs are being realized in our partnership with Sibanye Stillwater, which is providing a land donation of over 5,000 hectares dedicated to solar farms, manufacturing of green buses, and an initial 1,000 hectares for plantation and processing of hemp cannabis. The process of establishing the special economic zone is well underway in the West Rand. This is part of our multi-tier SEZ initiative and defining a new economic geography in Gauteng. This new economic geography will also find expression in the historically black townships designed in the past as labor reservoirs. Our Township Economic Partnership Fund is now live, and over 500 million rand is being made available to small township-based businesses in all of the GGT 2030 10 high-priority growth sectors. The money that government is putting in, the money that government is putting in makes sure that interest rates are low and that risks are taken on SMEs that experience difficulties accessing funds via commercial banks. It bears remembering that this partnership fund is an impactful social compacting where the GDD family is working in partnership with the Industrial Development Corporation with private sector intermediaries coming on board with their own capital. Ladies and gentlemen, confidence in government is being built through impactful legislation. Allow me to direct society to the collective efforts made towards developing the Township Economic Development Bill. We were there during the public consultation led by our portfolio committee. Your voices are heard and will find expression in the final version to be processed and finalized soon. As you would surely agree, this bill is a game-changing legislation. The tools provided by this legislation will enable us to fully leverage the bounce-back scheme announced by Minister Kotongwana in the interest of SMEs in general and township enterprises in particular. Madam Speaker, we cannot create economic growth and ignore structural transformation. As a country, we have the responsibility to transform society and create an economy that is inclusive and biased towards women and young people. Our task is to implement what the legislation expects us to do. In this regard, we are hard at work in ensuring that 75% of goods and services are procured locally by our departments. Today, the Gauteng Provincial Government, under the leadership of Premier Makhura, has procured over 800 million rand of goods and services from historically black townships. Ladies and gentlemen, as part of the targeted township enterprise zones, working with our tertiary institutional partners, our target will be that 40% of all our procurement as the provincial government comes from the township enterprise zones. As you would agree, the future of industry in the GCR, and indeed for the Republic, depends largely on off-grid green energy. In this regard, the GPG has already begun to focus on making this possible, as seen in our manufacturing belts in Mfuleni and Ekurhuleni. We will shortly be issuing a request for information for all companies interested in generating green electricity from microgrids using the 100 megawatt allowance for producing energy without a license. Regarding converting the GCR into becoming an agro-processing and cannabis mecca, Gauteng currently has 11 approved medicinal cannabis licenses issued through the South African Health Products Regulatory Association, and 15 hemp permits applications are still being processed by the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. We're also proud to say that all of the licensed 11 producers have off-take agreements, mainly with international off-takers. We're forging ahead in working with all key role players to enable growth of this critical industry. A unit dedicated to addressing regulatory and licensing issues, attract investment, and facilitate black participation has been established. Additionally, a master plan will be finalized by the end of March 2022, while the regulatory framework will be finalized within the next financial year. Ladies and gentlemen, as the Premier stated and underlined the importance of addressing food insecurity in the GCR, we have prioritized urban food production as a catalyst for food security. We have committed to an improved local production through creation of the solidarity economy for urban food systems and transformation. This year alone, we have created a black farmers database that enables black farmers to supply GPG departments, mainly health, social development, as well as the SANDF. For us and the communities we serve, this is about ensuring that those disadvantaged find spaces to move up the commercial pyramid. Before I conclude, allow me once again to repeat that the 6th administration is converting electoral commitments to practical outputs. Implementation in action enables farming communities to access 7 agri-parks that are fully in operation. These parks have and continue to create both permanent jobs and temporary jobs. In terms of increasing the improved participation of historically disadvantaged individuals in the agri-food value chain, a total of 235 farmers have been assisted with market linkages through engagements with fresh produce market agents. Madam Speaker, food, beverages, agro-processing and agri-businesses forms part of the GGT 2030 high-growth sectors. The reliance of this sector during the recent COVID-19 health and economic pandemic period has demonstrated that partnerships do work. Through our strategic partnerships, we are on the path to reducing food security, or rather food insecurity, by 10% from the current baseline of 16%. Mainstreaming climate change into Gauteng policies and implementation plans to transition the GCR's development trajectory into a low-carbon efficient, climate-resilient, and pro-employment growth path. In conclusion, without a doubt, the 6th administration, capably led by Premier Makhura, is delivering on its electoral mandate to convert electoral commitments into practical output. This administration is leading in action by providing meaningful and measurable social compacting to deliver decisively on the GGT 2030 Plan of Action through partnership with industry players like Sasol, Ford Motor Company, the Public-Private Growth Initiative, the IDC, universities and TVET colleges, Toyota Motors South Africa and DBSA, and Sibanye Stillwaters amongst the partners that we have mobilized as part of social compacting towards economic growth and transformation. Thank you very much.
Honorable Bloom. Honorable Bloom.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in the old Parliament, this debate used to be known as the no confidence debate. But what is unique about the Honourable Premier's address is that he admitted his own no confidence in his own provincial government. I want to ask, how is it possible that this provincial government is unable to fix the Sharp Mkheke Johannesburg Hospital? According to the Honourable Premier, the reason why the Department of Infrastructure Development was removed from this job is because of, quote, the failure to deliver on time, and huge concerns and overpricing for the refurbishment and construction work. Now, the fire that destroyed this hospital, or part of it, happened 10 months ago. And if this was a private facility, you can be quite sure that it will be substantially repaired and operational by now. But, 2 weeks ago, the CEO of this hospital desperately called in the gift of the givers to do an engineering assessment because of the damage, because it hadn't yet been done. Just think about this. An engineering assessment is the elementary first step in repairing any building, but DRD couldn't even do this. But, let's be fair. We do know what DRD is very good at doing. It's very good at choosing fishy contractors who can't finish the job on time, but they still get paid, and other contractors have to be hired at extra expense. And this has been the case for all of the 8 years that the Honourable Premier has been in office. It's 8 years in which he hasn't fixed DRD, and he hasn't fixed the Gauteng Health Department either. And it's 8 years in which he's talked about fighting corruption and inefficiency, and yet it still continues. The SIU is now investigating 2 fishy contracts for 128 million rand concerning the hospital repair. 9 hospitals have now been suspended, 6 from DRD and 3 from health. The Honourable Premier says that he is filled with pride that Gauteng is commended for swift implementation of SIU recommendations. And then he says he will, quote, continue to focus on promoting a responsive, accountable, effective and efficient public service, building ethical governance and eliminating corruption. But really, I have to say, instead of pride, the Honourable Premier should be expressing shame. He should be ashamed that Gauteng has the most SIU investigations in the country. He should be ashamed that he didn't prevent this corruption in the first place. And this corruption includes hundreds of millions in PPE corruption. It includes spending 750 million rand, including not just the building costs, but the medical equipment and the staff, on the White Elephant Anglo-Ashanti Hospital, which the province still doesn't own, and it treats a handful of patients. And it also includes 430 million rand wasted on cleaning schools. The Honourable Premier should be ashamed that he has to hand over the repair of Sharman-Kreke Hospital to a national department after months of delay that has increased the suffering of thousands of patients. He should be ashamed because the extra deaths from this fiasco will be far more than the 144 life Esidimeni patients who died on his watch. He should be ashamed because he keeps appointing MECs and heads of departments who don't prevent corruption. These are the appointments we know about, but what about these cadre deployments that the Zondo Commission has established from the ANC's National Deployment Committee? Madam Speaker, in medical matters they always say that prevention is better than cure. And it's quite clear that MEC Tasneem Makhura should go, just as you fired the Honourable Bandile Masuku for failing to prevent corruption. Now, that would be real consequence management because the rot starts at the top. It's very simple what needs to be done to fix what is wrong here. Firstly, stop cadre deployment and put the best people in the right job. Secondly, implement all the recommendations of the Auditor General. Thirdly, release all the corruption reports and act on their recommendations. And finally, in the case of hospitals, give the CEOs control over maintenance and repairs. And I wish to say to you, these are very simple steps. These will make an enormous difference in improving the vital government services that the most vulnerable people in our province need the most. Thank you.
Honourable Alberts. Honourable Alberts. Thank you, Honourable Ditlabela.
Achtbare Speaker.
Honourable Ditlabela, thank you. Honourable Alberts. Honourable members, before Honourable Alberts. Honourable members, can I request that those that are not wearing their masks, please continue to wear your mask. The only people that will be allowed not to use the mask are those that will be speaking. We are still in the disaster management regulation period. Thank you. Honourable Alberts.
Agbare Speaker, Premier Makhura, honourable members, ladies and gentlemen. Premier, the ANC has had 27 years to create a better life for South Africans. Given the value already unlocked in Gauteng province and so inherited by the ANC in 1994, one would think that this province would have had the most potential to create economic growth and employment. However, that is not the case. The Premier did indicate rightly that great civilizations can be built on great failures. That is so. However, if the ANC thinks that it's on track in building such a great society, we must look at the facts. It makes for depressing reading. Here is a list of what the ANC has achieved over the last 27 years, nationally and in Gauteng. Amongst others, first, the highest unemployment and crime rates in the history of South Africa. The first downgrade to junk status in the history of South Africa. The lowest scores in basic education in mathematics and science in the world. The imposition of the greatest tax scam in history upon South Africans in the form of e-tolls. The destruction of the lives of defenceless people with disabilities in the Life SOPA scandal, where no one has been held accountable. The senseless corruption and theft of COVID-19 funds earmarked for the protection of the most vulnerable under the cover of BBBE by the Departments of Education and Health, and who knows what other departments might be involved. The exposure of the Gauteng communities to polarizing policies and poor school infrastructure that has led to the Gelukstad Secondary School, Hoërskool Driehoek, and Hoërskool Overval tragedies, amongst others. And the lack of maintenance and building of new infrastructure to create an enabling environment in Gauteng, witnessed the Charlotte Maseke Hospital scandal. We are instead on our way to society where we had electricity before we started to use candles, amongst many other negative achievements. Now, to the ANC's credit, they have devised an economic plan to rebuild Gauteng's economy. However, we are surprised that the plan, after the decimation created by the COVID-19 pandemic, is still based on the GGT 2030 plan, a plan devised before the pandemic occurred. We do acknowledge that the plan was augmented by the addition of the war room and social compacts with the business sector. But is that really all there is? Even before the pandemic, the province was on an unprecedented deep economic hole. Yet the ANC's reaction is to do merely more of the same from a war room with a business community that is truly wary to invest in an uncertain, policy-hostile environment. There are no new material investments flowing into Gauteng. There are no plans to attract new outside investments. What we do see is existing businesses making some further investments, mostly in the automotive industry economic zone. But if we compare this with the Aerotropolis economic zone and the aviation park, we see that virtually nothing is happening. The planned investment in the Vaal SEZ is ridiculously small and will probably get stolen by cadres before it gets to the people. Again, we have to ask, is this all the ANC can do? Is that all wat die ANC kan doen? This is a sure sign that there is no urgency in the ANC to rebuild Gauteng. A second very disconcerting sign that the ANC is truly not interested in creating a better life for the people and truly shows their contempt for the people is that the Premier has not ensured any accountability from their political leaders involved in Life Esidimeni and the departments involved in COVID corruption. In any legitimate democracy, political leaders resign from their positions when a scandal erupts in their department. But this does not take place in any ANC government, for we know that the party is more important than the country. Having said this, we do welcome the Premier's invitation in 2021 to submit our economic plan to him, and will do so in the hope that it will ensure immediate action for economic growth and employment opportunities in Gauteng. I thank you.
Honourable Mr. Mazibuko.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Ngibingelele undunankulu kanye namalunga esishayamthetho sase-Gauteng. Let me also acknowledge and greet comrades and friends. Ngithi sanibonani. Honourable Speaker, we delivered this SOPA debate in the month in which the struggle stalwart Mme Rebecca Kotane was born. Mme Kotane will have turned 110 years on the 12th of February this year had she lived on. Mekotane was one of those women who took part in the 1956 march and was detained by the apartheid forces alongside Bomema Sisulu, Abomengoi, and others. Mekotane is the personification of the resilience in that even when she was enticed with a mention and persuaded to turn against the anti-pass law movement, she never betrayed the revolution and her fellow comrades. We must emulate the resilience of Mekotane by standing firm in this fight against crime and criminality. As Premier Makhura said during his State of the Province address, I open quote, "Building safer communities is our top priority," close quotes. All efforts are being centered around ensuring that our communities are safe and free from the fear instilled by crime and criminality. Violence against women, children, and other vulnerable people, cash in transit heists, robberies, carjackings, business robberies, and house breakings remain our main focus in achievement of a safer Gauteng. Honorable members, though it still needs to be done in the fight against crime, I am, however, pleased that our efforts are also showing results here in Gauteng. If you check our statistics for Q3 that was recently announced by Minister Kele, it reflects just a decrease in many of these crimes that are happening. On sexual offenses, which made up of rape, sexual assault, attempted and sexual offenses and contact crimes, they are actually reduced by 7.4%. On property-related crimes, they also reflect a decrease. On cash in transit heists, they also reflect a reduction compared to the previous year in the same quarter. This reduction is evidence of the sterling work our law enforcement agencies are doing in foiling and arresting suspects linked to cash in transit robberies. Let me remind you of just a few of these robberies that actually took place and law enforcement agencies were able to react. On the 5th of March, 5 SAPS members of the highway patrol teams operationalized information in Recher Park and arrested a suspect. On the 26th of March, the Gauteng traffic officers and other law enforcement officers foiled a cash in transit heist after they pursued a white Porsche in color and arrested a suspect linked to murder and 2 other cash in transit robberies. They actually cornered him in Mushakeng after a high-speed chase that resulted on N12. On the 25th of April, police arrested the most wanted CIT and murder suspect in Tembisa. He was arrested. And yesterday, the 23rd of February, after the incident that actually took place on the 23rd of February, where on the 21st of February, where police shot 8 suspects and arrested 10 suspects in Rosettenville. And we send our well wishes to the 2 officers who were injured during the shootout and are still in hospital in a stable condition. Yesterday, which is just last night, Honorable Speaker, members of the Gauteng Traffic Specialized Law Enforcement Unit, together with the SAPS, together with the EMPD, JMPD, arrested a suspect believed to be the suspect linked to the shootout between the police and the CIT suspects in Rosettenville. Honorable members, I had to take time to highlight some of these moments our law enforcement officers have made, putting their lives at risk to ensure our safety. I think we can give our law enforcement officers, as led by Lieutenant General Mawela, a round of applause to encourage them for the work they are doing. Honorable Premier, the investment made by the provincial government under your leadership.
Thank you, honorable members.
The above successes and many others happened a few days after you, Premier, handed over high-performance vehicles to the SAPS for the Highway Patrol Unit. Some of the successes and recoveries of the newly established Highway Patrol Unit from April of last year to the 15th of February indicate a total of 1,357 arrests. Suspects, those that have been arrested. And the breakdown of those successes are as follows. It is hijacked vehicles that have been recovered, suspects that have been arrested, which is 185, suspected stolen vehicles that have also been recovered, suspects that were arrested with stolen vehicles, vehicles that have also been recovered in the commission of a crime, suspects that indicate that the value of these vehicles that have been recovered total 167 million rands, which is quite enormous if you check according to the economies of scale. Unlicensed firearms that were recovered, 206 suspects, which were arrested for possession illegal firearms, which were 235. And there were quite a lot of prevention, crime prevention measures that were taken and actions. People were searched, vehicles were searched, vehicles were tested, VCPs were also conducted, drugs that were confiscated. And as driver's license, drugs confiscated to the value of 19 million. That has been confiscated. And the most recent crime incidences are a clear indication that criminals have declared war against the state. The sizes of these robbery gangs and the number of firearms and ammunition used against police require extraordinary measures to be taken to assert the authority of the state and protect our sovereignty. Our GGT 2030 safety plan is a multi-agency approach to address crime generators. The establishment of the War Room on Crime in Gauteng paves the way for a paradigm shift implementing crime-fighting efforts. We will be hosting a safety indaba where we will be having most law enforcement agencies, business against crime, CPFs, and community leaders. Ours is to make sure that we develop a tangible program and a tangible actions in the fight against crime. For us to win the war against crime, we need all citizens of Gauteng to be active participants in a social movement against crime. We must be encouraged and learn from the taxi operators at Vereeniging Taxi Rank, who did not fold their arms when they saw rotten elements within the SAPS pushing drugs in their taxi rank, but reported the matter to the police officers, which resulted in 6 of them being caught and arrested for dealing with dagga and possession of drugs. Drugs continue to be a challenge in our communities, and we encourage our community members to continue reporting all the houses selling drugs and the people who are destroying the future of our children. Madam Speaker, we'll continue to mobilize society to participate in the fight against crime, also through various stakeholder engagement, community meetings aimed at developing and implementing localized community safety plans, the establishment and strengthening of CPFs as an organs of people's power, building block committees and street committees that will develop safety plans that are focused and will be implemented to meet the needs of specific communities. Madam Speaker, communities of Cape Town, Eldorado Park, Yesteres, Kagiso, Sochanguve, Garankua, Enkangala, Binoni, Tutuza, Westville in Krugersdorp, Sinizwile, we heard you. As the Gauteng Provincial Government, we shall help you as it was promised by the Freedom Charter. We will continue to intensify strides to fight the scourge of gender-based violence and femicide. The deployment of the GPV brigades in all our wards, the deployment of floor managers at police stations, increasing the number of green doors in our communities, the donation of cars dedicated to VECs at police stations, and the work that we do at Kale Temba are but some of the efforts which the Gauteng Provincial Government is doing in dealing with this gender-based violence. Our campaigns against GBVS should also focus on the boy children and men. School safety also is an area of priority for which our departments in the few days will also be hosting quite a lot of various stakeholders, including students' organizations, where we can put our heads together in making our schools safer and conducive for teaching and learning. We've noticed quite a lot of young people now drink a cough mixture called lean. By mixing a cold drink, Madam Speaker, and they are forever high. Others are selling space cookies to young children at schools, and teachers are always amazed why young people are forever high. As I conclude, Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize the importance of communities knowing who lives amongst them. The Know Your Neighborhood campaign is the key component in ensuring that we know who each and every people that actually live amongst us. Criminals don't fall from heaven. They live amongst us. Some of them are in our own houses and homes, Mara nizanizobuza ukuthi ubugebengu buyenza ubani. Nifuyile igebengu nina ngokwenu. To rid our societies of crime, we must report criminals who live amongst us. Dankie nyabo.
Honorable members, those who still continue not to wear their mask, if you continue, I will chat you out of this room. Honorable Ntseche.
Thank you, Speaker. Social development has been underspending while the vulnerable people of Gauteng continue to suffer. To be honest, this department has basically been caught with its pants down when COVID arrived on our shores. Underspending by 438 million for such a crucial department is really criminal. Social development used to be the department that I thought many did not pay attention to, but with COVID, I understood truly how crucial its role is. Premier, I listened with full concentration as you delivered the State of the Province address on Monday. At the beginning, you said you would be honest and mention successes, but also acknowledge the shortcomings of your government, and I listened attentively. None of the shortcomings were mentioned. During the COVID period, the department was forced to act on impulse and accommodate homeless people. Then they promised they would develop a much-needed homelessness strategy, even allocating 84 million to this plan, never presented. A promise was made to present to the Portfolio Committee. It's now February 2022, almost 2 years since COVID came, and there's no strategy presented to the committee. The Minister of Public Works donated 6 buildings to this province to be used as shelters. Again, nothing has come of these. Young vulnerable people were denied much access, much needed dignity packs, as well as school uniforms. On paper, without thorough analysis, one would be made to believe that the department is meeting targets. But what is actually happening is that the department keeps rolling over funds from the previous year, misleading the public and us in committee. Let me remind this House that living with albinism and having monthly periods is not a choice. At this moment, I would like to pay respect to the late Kuli Roberts, a fighter for the people with albinism. These are people who do the work that the department should be doing. When will cooperatives be transitioned to businesses that are incubated so that they can bid fairly for the work that they do? Almost 4 years, the department has told the committee that they are busy appointing a company that will subcontract cooperatives. Clearly, this is not working because this is the very area that the department is failing dismally. In 2014, I found that the same cooperatives on the database, no growth, but on government dependency. Now that government, due to Treasury regulations, can't finance them, they're struggling to stay afloat, and some are closing their doors to the detriment of the beneficiaries. While department is getting clean audits, many NGOs that work in this government continue to get late payments. Yes, finally, the Monitoring and Evaluation Department was started in the Department of Social Development, but they don't seem to understand how to capacitate NGOs to ensure that they are compliant, or the department doesn't know how to maintain compliance with the NGOs. Either way, the beneficiaries and staff employed by these NGOs are the ones that ultimately suffer. Failure to allocate the ECD stimulus issued by the President would have gone a long way to cushioning ECD sector, but the department was simply not ready to spend that money. What a shame. Honourable Premier, you made a promise on Monday that the people of Gauteng, you will release the SIU reports. From me, looking at social development, I am particularly waiting to see the outcome of the conduit payment investigation, which you promised in this House that you will table. A person went missing and to this day was never found. I really want to see that SIU report. The Gauteng Department of Social Development truly needs to be a more functional and proactive monitoring and evaluation units that devise compliant solutions to assisting the welfare sector, which ensures on-time payments for NGOs so the vulnerable are protected, continuous empowerment of NGOs to ensure that Treasury regulations are complied with. The department's poverty alleviation programs need to ensure that they also contribute to job creation and entrepreneurship in this province. This is an urgent emergency response, using your words, Premier. Talking about DID, I want to table incomplete projects by this department in Tembisa Old Age Home, closed down but built by this department because of infrastructure projects. But Acres Primary School, still incomplete, was meant to be opened in 2017, half done, but supplier paid off. Incomplete ECD in Mfuleni, Rabile CIC in Garangua. Since 2014, they've still been working on the same building. Really?
Time up.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Dlamini. Press once and
You
leave.
gave power. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, Honorable members of the Executive, Honorable members of this House and the citizens of Gauteng. Madam Speaker, the Inkatha Freedom Party welcomed the frank tone of this year's State of the Province address when the Honorable Premier David Makhura acknowledged the dire state of our province and the agents of action required. Speaking with great conviction, the Honorable Premier presented a stark picture of the challenges confronting our country and the people of Gauteng in particular. Ours is a province that is riddled with emergencies ranging from high youth unemployment, corruption, violent crime, a decline of investment in our public infrastructure, and service delivery challenges, among others. All these challenges have been undeniably worsened by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and its accompanying economic downturn. The Honourable Premier made the plea for all hands to be on deck in rebuilding and moving Gauteng forward from the public health emergency to an economic and service delivery emergency. However, his address fell short of tabling a new set of ideas and proposals that demonstrate his administration's determination to change tack from the old way of doing things. Instead, the people of Gauteng were presented with rehearsed ideas and nothing more than a promise to act with a sense of agency when responding to the current challenges. We all know that some of these challenges are predated in the era of the COVID-19 emergency. Thus, there can be no gainsaying that this was a missed opportunity to inspire public confidence. Today, the rate of unemployment in Gauteng stands at 37%. Last data was 32%. This issue has long been our most pressing economic and social emergency, especially since it contributes to the poverty, inequality, and other social ills. Yet on Monday, the Honourable Premier heralded the success of the SOPA 1 million program in reducing unemployment amongst the youth. If this program was so effective or lived up to its name, which means hope, kumele sizibuze ukuthi kungani iningi lentsha lisahlele ey'tradini lilindele ukurhola u-350 instead of being employed. Until this question is answered, it remains a mystery to me, Honourable Premier, as to how this program can be seen as having made a significant impact in the unemployment of our youth in this province, especially since we know that apart from your office, Premier, and the Department for Agriculture and Rural Areas, the rest of other departments could not be bothered about reporting on, in this House on how they are faring with the implementation of this program. Honourable Speaker, if the people are to believe that all hands are on deck in rebuilding our economy and creating jobs, then all departments should be seen working together to minimize the emergence of rising unemployment numbers. But that is not the case, and that falls on you, Honourable Premier, because you told this esteemed House during the SOPA in 2018 that the buck stops with you. As the steward of this ship, you ought to be giving the directive and making the tough decisions to ensure that this unemployment program is prioritized by all within your administration. The IFP puts it before this House that a mere promise of an emergency mode of leadership is not enough. It must be seen in practice. So far, it is not has been practiced. Madam Speaker, the citizens of Gauteng have long been subjected to infrastructure projects that either take too long or cost too much money to complete, be it in public transport, human settlement, water and sanitation, healthcare, and other areas of service delivery. These are serious backlogs. The slow pace in resolving these issues has given the impression that this government is neither serious nor sincere in its commitment to efficient service delivery. Honourable Premier acknowledged the problem of collapsing infrastructure as something that requires an emergency response Phelile.
Siphelile isikhathi.
Awu.
Askisi.
Ungakakusho lokho okunye.
Hlala phansi
Ukhuluma
Dlamini.
lokuphila ama-minutes ayi-2.
Hlala phansi Dlamini.
Thank you very much, Honorable Bosch.
Awuyazi mngani wami.
Thank you, Madam Chair of Chairs. The Democratic Alliance is concerned about the vigorous way in which the Premier spoke in terms of the implementation of a district development model in Gauteng. This model focuses on the implementation of a one plan with a one budget, which is clear indication that the Premier wants to leave a legacy of centralised power, which completely undermines the principles of our Constitution. This one plan will bind all municipalities in the province and their IDPs into certain projects and commitments for the next 25 to 30 years. The COVID-19 pandemic has taught us that centralised power should be avoided at all costs. We saw what happened with the National Command Council and the Provincial War Room, where we became prisoners within our own houses, being held hostage by our government. Neither the Constitution nor any other legislation makes provision for the district development model. The purpose of the IGR is for cooperation and support, and not to undermine or control or prescribe to municipalities. IGR and the district development model are not the same. We must protect the autonomy of municipalities and let each municipality plan for its own future. This SOPA also included a lot of champions to champion this dream of centralised power. The DA cannot help but wonder if the ethics champions will become judges, jury and the perpetrators in the many cases of corruption within our provincial government. Will the district development champions be appointed to manage or even worse, replace our mayors within our various municipalities? Will the ward-based war room champions be replacing the duly elected councillors within our various wards across the province? This model has no financial benefit for municipalities, and in fact it will in all likeliness only cost our municipalities more money. This will generate even more underfunded mandates from the provincial government, such as the emergency services, motor vehicle licensing, clinics, libraries and even housing. The writing is on the wall, and the real question one should ask is whether the district development model is not a final coup d'etat from the ANC. Is the district development model not a final attempt by the ANC to hang on to power, projects and money ahead of the 2024 elections, after they already lost control of so many municipalities? Madam Chair, the Premier also proudly announced the establishment of a debt management committee to facilitate the settlement of government debt. This committee met once a quarter over the last year and yielded very little to no success from its meetings. But approximately 2 weeks ago, when the city of Tshwane and the city of Johannesburg decided to take power into their own hands and started with an intensified disconnection campaign, the provincial government decided to let this committee meet every 2 weeks. Mr. Premier, the truth is that you should thank the DA-led coalition government for their no-nonsense approach towards billing and debt recovery. In Johannesburg, there is still a total of 422 million, in Tshwane 326 million, and in Ekurhuleni a total of 18 million that is still overdue from this provincial government. This is close to R1 billion that the provincial government owes the local municipalities. I know these figures are enormous, so let me break it down in simpler terms. R1 billion is equivalent to 14,000 new RDP houses, or equivalent to 1,000 new kilometres of roads tarred. This lack of payment is robbing our municipalities, but more so robbing our residents from the services they deserve. If a provincial government cannot even pay its debt to municipalities, how can we be sure that they will be able to manage the district development model with one plan and one budget? Section 154(1) of the Constitution states that the national government and provincial government, by legislative and other measures, must support and strengthen the capacity of municipalities to manage their own affairs. The DA rejects the district development model and demands that this House stands firm against this model and the lies that the Premier and MEC Mayile is trying to sell us. We need to protect our constitution, fight against state capture, centralization of power, and interference from other spheres of government like the Gauteng Provincial Government. We must keep governance as close as possible to the people with easy access to services they deserve.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. Honourable Hassan, you can present your speech. You are seated. We understand your challenges.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'm going to try half-half.
Okay.
Yeah. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, presiding officers, Honourable Premier, our MECs, members of the Provincial Legislature, but of course, young people in Gauteng. I want to begin by taking a short moment to commemorate the tragic passing of Ricky Rick, who is an incredible musician, hip-hop artist, and who we lost to a mental health battle. I'm going to take that moment now. Madam Chair, allow this to be a reminder of how vital it is to support mental health efforts and not undermine them, especially amongst young people. Honourable members, I'm going to set the scene as the youngest representative deployed here by the ANC in their wisdom in this august House. According to Stats SA in 2019, almost a third of the population constituted of youth groups, and of that amount, 5.1 million young people reside in our province. This number grows every day as more and more young people migrate to Gauteng in search of education, jobs, and economic opportunity. Madam Speaker and honourable members, we stand on the precipice of a national crisis, a major national crisis that is youth unemployment. We can no longer undermine this ticking time bomb. I hope the millions of young people who are watching can see how the opposition disrespects the fight and the plight of young people in this country. The burden of unemployment is particularly concentrated amongst the youth groups of 15 to 24, of which over 70% of young people are unemployed, and people of 25 to 34 years old, of which over 40% of young people are unemployed. The majority of young people in this country are uneducated, unemployed, and unemployable. And this is the precipice of which I speak of. And as a young person, this is the existential crisis that cannot be ignored or heckled by the opposition. Young people are losing hope and grow progressively more and more angry, justifiably so. Honourable members, a few weeks ago, as the OGPOL committee, we hosted a youth unemployment workshop, and it brought together a wide range of young people, some of whom were SEPO beneficiaries, some beneficiaries of other civil society interventions, but most importantly, young people who are completely outside of the economy. A number of issues were raised. Firstly, that everybody, ranging from government to civil society to the private sector, have their own approach in solving youth unemployment. It's lacked integration towards a bigger strategy, and there's also a lack of policy coordination, as there is a need to respond to the specific issues and challenges of our province. It's further become clear that there's a need for urgent intervention beyond what we are already doing. In my time as a student activist and youth activist, leading mass action of young people to now being a public representative, this is the first State of the Province address that is focused so acutely on young people. It is an ANC-led government and an ANC-deployed premier that has zeroed in on this existential crisis of young people in Gauteng. And it is demonstrated in our government's commitment to taking young people seriously, but more importantly, to centering us as young people in our work. Already, some of those issues that were raised in the youth unemployment workshop have been addressed in the State of the Province address. Madam Speaker, our provincial youth development approach needs to be all-encompassing and holistic. It must bring together the various departmental interventions as well as that symbiotic relationship between them. And SOPA 2022 addresses exactly these issues, centering young people in its approach. Premier, on Monday you highlighted some major interventions in dealing with youth unemployment. The first being a dedicated war room to focus on the economy and sustainable jobs for young people specifically. You've also demonstrated major political will of an ANC-led government to address these injustices evidenced by a total spend of 5.6 billion rand on women-owned enterprises and 5.3 billion rand on youth-owned enterprises. In terms of TSEPO, Madam Speaker and Premier, in mitigating the significant challenge of youth unemployment in the province, we've had a major intervention that has been the TSEPO 1 million program. It was envisioned to complement the programs to expand youth entrepreneurship opportunities and to focus on youth-targeted skills, as well as develop strategic sectors and skills around automotive, ICT, tooling, foundry, furniture, and the tourism sector. And while the TSEPO program has since its inception impacted the lives of more than 700,000 young people, we are the first to acknowledge and conduct a full analysis on the true impact of this program as an ANC-led government. We are not afraid of holding ourselves accountable, and we are not afraid of setting the bar even higher than it is now. As a result, it is the ANC, through our own sharp oversight programs, that has commissioned the MISTRA assessment of TSEPO 1 million. And the intention is to ensure that the strategic youth structure is fully empowered to address youth unemployment in the province. And it is us as a listening and an in-touch government that will be honest about the outcomes and ensure that we do better. We therefore welcome this review and reconfiguration of TSEPO, and it will be us who fully drives this implementation. TSEPO is one of the many programs at a provincial level designed to address youth unemployment. There's been an achievement of Gauteng's contribution of 2.53 million jobs by 2030. And these include the implementation of the Gauteng City Region Creation Framework for both direct and indirect job creation, as well as EPWP. Premier, during your State of the Province address, you announced the establishment of a civil society youth advisory council, as well as a youth directorate. We welcome these much-needed interventions and cannot wait to see the work of young people in tackling this existential crisis that we face. The Youth Advisory Council and the Youth Directorate, I do hope the millions of young people who are tuning in right now, who are jobless, who are outside of the economy, who are starving, can hear the EFF and the DA as a young person tries to fix the problem and as an ANC-led government takes action. So I'm going to continue. Even if I'm a shout out of other MPL, I will continue as a young person who is going to solve this problem. So we welcome, Premier, the much-needed interventions. We note that there are opportunities for this overarching approach and view to contribute across the economy and social sector. And rest assured, it will be us as the ANC that will push these bodies over the duration of our administration to ensure implementation. Don't worry, young people are watching all of you right now as we continue to push through to find solutions. It must be noted that in creating these two bodies, Premier, you have acknowledged us as young people. You have given us young people the agency that we need to solve our own problems and decide our own fate. We as young people have been demanding and we have been fighting for this for many years. We thank you, Premier, and your Exco for this revolutionary act and for listening to young people. Madam Speaker and honourable members, the crisis of youth unemployment is one we must all stare down, despite the opposition trying to silence me as a young woman. If we make the mistake of thinking that this issue is not our problem, we will fall over that precipice into an ugly revolution. It is therefore imperative that the Office of the Premier and his various departments ensure a holistic approach to this problem. More importantly, Madam Speaker, because I've been interrupted, I'm going to go through a high level of issues. GCRA program has implemented over 50,000 youth unemployment opportunities in 1 year. We have spent, in terms of direct stipends, over 2 billion rand within this financial year. We have put money in the hands of young people to spend in our economy. With our flagship GCRA program, we have spent over 4 million rand on bursaries from mainly public schools in the province. In terms of the social development welfare to work program, a total of 40,000 young women have participated and benefited. In terms of human settlements, we have more than 30,000 In terms of healthcare, we have a number of different health interventions focused on sexual reproductive health and issues that young people face. In terms of roads and transport, a total of 9,717 young people are currently benefiting from a number of roads and transport interventions. Economic development, and I want everyone to know that this is high level because I'm being heckled. In terms of the Tshwane SEZ, 25% of local enterprises are youth-owned, and just under R1 billion has been spent on local enterprises to ensure that young people are employed. You know, in terms of global services positions, that we have hundreds of projects that have serviced and focused on young people, particularly in NASREC over the upcoming, and it's going to be a 10,000 global business service hub. Infrastructure. 2,500 young people have benefited from the National Youth Service Plan, particularly on artisan skills. In terms of e-government, we have about 10,000 young people who have been equipped with ICT skills. 60% of them are young women. And I'll share the speech. All the numbers are here, all the facts, all the backup points are all here. In terms of sports, arts and culture, MEC Flope is one of our youngest women MECs, and she has centered young people onto the agenda. She has recently had a youth unemployment workshop also in the south of Gauteng, and that has brought together more than 300 young people into opportunities under sport, arts and culture. In terms of community safety, 110 university graduates are enrolled with the department for a period of 2 years in the internship program. 660 of the staff complement are young people, and we've got youth desks that are targeting 1,000 young people. So I can mention all of these numbers, and the fact that I'm out of breath, Madam Speaker, speaks to the fact that we as provincial government have thousands of interventions for young people. What we must do is pull these interventions together and ensure that we are able to mainstream it and pull it into one direction. Young people must be center stage. Premier, on Monday, you said that the future is youth. I'm here to tell you that the youth is now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Hassan. I'll now call upon Honorable Ramulifo. What? What about the hand? I'm the one who, oh, sorry. I'm the one who's chairing. No, I'm the one who's chairing. Okay. Honorable members. Peter. Are we allowed to get questions from the members? We're not allowed, no? Like, are we allowed to allow members to ask questions?
Because you raised your hand, suggest establishment as you want to say.
Okay, thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable members. Thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable Nteke, your hand is up.
Chairs, I'd like to rise in terms of 77 subsection 5.
Okay.
We know you want to be the
Thank you, Chair of Chairs. I want to say to Honourable Fasia, on the R21 corridor, there's a major warehouses being built. And I want to say to her, these should not be celebrated.
No.
It means...
No. The Premier's State of the Province address and not Member Hassan's
a debate, so I'm not going to allow you to comment
No,
or
but
to
she's
question
allowed.
what
It's
she
a
said
debate.
earlier. No.
It's allowed. It's a debate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ramulifa.
You want to know, but you are the whole presiding officer doesn't know.
Honorable Ramulifa.
Thank you. Good afternoon, colleagues.
Can we allow Honorable Ramulifo to participate in the debate, please? Honorable Ramulifo.
Thank you, Madam Chair of Chairs. Good afternoon, colleagues. Honorable Premier, indeed, we recognize that this is the last 6th Premier of the province under the ANC-led government. In short, you are finishing this term as the governing party in the province. The energy and passion you had demonstrated when you took over in 2014 has gradually faded. Even when you were delivering the State of the Province address, it was different this time around, as you sounded tired. This is not unique to the ANC leadership, as even the voters are tired of the ANC. The people of Gauteng have lost faith in your leadership and your party. They've proven this on 2 occasions so far, in 2019 and 2021. In 2024, the ANC will be out of government in this province. You will be leading the opposition benches. I know some of you, your colleagues, will deny this reality because it's part of defense mechanism. The factors that led to the ANC losing power include, amongst others, lack of political will to fight corruption and too much talking with no action. As the Premier of this province, during your term of office, corruption has characterized this government, and it's continuing because there's no consequence management system. You have received many SIU reports, and you are hiding them because you don't have the guts to make them public. The question is why? You can keep them on the shelf, but the new government led by the DA in 2024 will make them available to the public. We will be open, transparent, and accountable to the people of Gauteng. It is only under your government where there's no political accountability, and accounting officers can oversee departmental looting and get away with murder. It is very clear that you are leading a divided caucus, and they are aware of what is wrong with your government, but they are pretending. They were not even clapping hands when you were addressing them. You know, they were busy playing with their phones. You spoke about the township economy, but your government is frustrating subcontractors. They are not paid on time. Bramfisher Primary and Nancy Field Primary, subcontractors are among those that have complained about non-payment. There's a company that has not been paid for years for services rendered to the government. Investigations indicated that 2 checks were written to honor payment to Ramadimo Trading Supplies. But check number 101345 was referred to the drawer, and there was no trace for check number 101354. So 117,000 rand has still not been paid to this company, and the money has disappeared. MEC Lisuf indicated that the payment will be paid on the 15th of December, and it's not paid as yet. Premier, you have a dysfunctional departments led by incompetent MECs. MEC Lisuf has forgotten how to hold a pair of scissors and cut a ribbon. He once made a claim that he will be opening new school every week, and it's clearly not happening. As we speak, we have learners who are still not placed, yet you never mentioned this in your SOPA. Premier, you cut the ribbon at Noktula Elsen School in 2018. May you please revisit the school and establish why you cut the ribbon. The cost was to the value of 300 million rand. 4 years later, it is still partly occupied. At Maibuye Primary School, learners are still trapped in a dilapidated mobile structures, while next door, there is an empty structure where your government spent more than 80 million rand. 5 years later, the ID is claiming that they need more money, and it's not justifiable. There are so many projects on hold because of incompetent contractors who were appointed, who are failing to deliver on time and within budget. But you're still keeping a. While there are so many competent service providers tendering for projects but never getting the job, there are few who have been getting contracts even when they are not delivering. We all know why. If you don't, use assumptions to arrive to a conclusion. While all this malfeasance and poor management continue to deny the residents of this province opportunity to succeed, The Premier cannot take any action to demand political accountability for this, for his DID MEC. Fire her, it's simple. She has destroyed the entire department. She finished it off. But while the department has collapsed, she remains standing. You have 2 years to go. Can you vacate the office with some stability? 2 weeks ago, we went to Soshanguve and Tshwane, where one principal, as Member Mkwewe indicated, the principal said, I'm not prepared to take budget from the provincial government to build additional classrooms because business forums arrived and they were demanding money, 30% for not work being done. And are you saying you don't know about this ongoing practice which demands payment from contractors? What have you done and what are you still going to do to stop them? Okay.
Madam Chair of Chairs, Honourable Premier, Honourable Members of Legislature, fellow residents of Gauteng, Madam Chair of Chairs, the state of the province, presented by Honourable Premier David Makhura, has painted a picture of grand achievements within the province over the past year. It is, however, pertinent to mention that these grand achievements and proposed plans for future interventions do not reflect the reality on the ground. It is evident that there is a frightening disconnect between the province and the people. Such a disconnect renders ineffective true implementation of service delivery and interventions geared towards robust economic gains, intensified focus on social justice initiatives, accelerated infrastructure development, and tackling the ever-expanding unemployment crisis in the province, which is just the tip of the iceberg. Honourable Premier, everything that has been done becomes undone when the following is not done. When that which has not been done cannot answer, Honourable Premier, where you fail to make any mention of the ongoing debacle with regards to e-tolls, which has been a bone of contention for the people of the province ever since its inception and has been exacerbated by the devastation to the people's livelihoods due to COVID-19 pandemic. As the ACDP, we say, when that which has been done cannot answer why no mention is made of the continued discrimination against unvaccinated employees and students, the denial of access at various institutions of higher learning and other places of work in the province, which will lead to economic exclusion, job losses, and educational exclusion, and the GPG, who is completely tight-lipped with regards to mandatory vaccination policies being enforced by institutions in the province. When that which has been done cannot answer why the Gauteng City Region Integrity Management Policy Framework, underpinned by the Gauteng Anti-Corruption Strategy, has failed to curb rampant corruption and ensure the integral stewardship of provincial financial resources. Honourable Premier, let me change lanes. Let me join you in conveying our heartfelt gratitude to our healthcare professionals in both the public and private sector for the outstanding service to the people of our province during the most difficult time in the life of our democratic nation. We echo the call, Honourable Premier, by yourself that all hands must be on deck as we move from the public health emergency to economic and service delivery emergency. The fact that you mentioned, Honourable Premier, that many lessons was learned in our battle with the COVID-19 pandemic is heartening. That these lessons include mobilization of social compacting, promptly and decisive action against crime and corruption in government and society, as well as interdepartmental and intergovernmental cooperation to avoid government working in silos. Honourable Premier, please, for the sake of our people in Gauteng, make the economy and jobs your #1 priority over that which is left in the 6th administration, the 2 years. It is encouraging and heartening that you say that you will work closely with municipalities and national government to urgently accelerate service delivery and improve access to housing, electricity, water, sanitation, education, road maintenance, visible policing, health, etc. Please, sir, let this happen. May I make an appeal to my colleague, Honourable Dlamini, Chairperson of Okpol, to lead us a committee to do urgent oversight over the 3 to 4 war rooms that is mentioned in SOPA so we can ensure its effectiveness. In conclusion, let me applaud you for your commitment to have a boots-on-the-ground approach as you and your MECs and top leadership of various departments go down to the ground to grassroots at municipal level on Thursdays and Fridays. Honourable Premier, let the people of Gauteng see you all, feel you all, and engage you all. I thank you, Honourable Chair of Chairs.
How do you know me? Chair of Chairs, when we listen to that side of the House, we see this beautiful picture of Gauteng. We see green, lush fields, we see fat cattle, we see everybody is safe, everybody has a job. But what I don't understand is if Gauteng was such heaven, why would the Premier see an emergency around every corner in his speech? I don't understand this emergency response that was really the theme of his speech if everything in Gauteng was going so well. But you see, there's an obsession in the ANC nowadays. There's an obsession with military-style government. There's an obsession to move away from democracy and democratic institutions because everything must be controlled by a command council or some other war room in this province. Why are you undermining democracy? This is the question. But you see, in an emergency, Honourable Premier, in an emergency you cut the luxuries and you focus on the core problems. But still in an emergency you have 6.9 million rand to spend on sports awards while sportsmen and actors and other artists in this province go hungry because of the COVID-19 pandemic. But you have money for a huge party. During this emergency response last year when we needed you during the July riots and it required an emergency response, where were you? Nowhere to be found. During the COVID-19 emergency pandemic, you didn't engage in an emergency response, you engaged in emergency stealing. That is what you did. What this province requires, Honourable Premier, is not an emergency response, it requires an economic response. Because you see, in 2008, when the market crashed and we had an economic problem, for 12 years you used that as an excuse why you can't fix the economy of Gauteng, only to be bailed out in 2020 by the COVID-19 pandemic. But you see, if there was a proper economic response to 2008, we wouldn't have suffered as much as we did under the COVID-19 pandemic as we did, because there would have been growth and there would have been fat built in order to respond to a disaster like COVID-19. We don't need an emergency response that's a temporary one. We need a sustainable response, because a sustainable response will bring about economic growth in this province and will put us in a stronger position when we have to face, God forbid, any future disasters that we might be facing in the future, 10 or 12 years from now. But you see, this is the Premier's legacy. It's a legacy of 104 unfulfilled promises in the last 8 years. That is the true legacy that this Premier of empty promises is going to leave us. But there's one legacy that we do welcome from this Premier, and that is a legacy of governing his party out of government. That all people of Gauteng will welcome with open arms, and we thank you very, very much for that legacy that you will be leaving. But you see, there is light at the end of the tunnel, because we know the ANC's time in government is up. The ANC knows its time in government is up, and 2024 is around the corner. Honourable Premier, please use the next 2 years to preserve this little bit of what's left of this government. Please leave us something that we can use to govern when we take over from you in 2024. Because you see, when a DA administration comes in 2024, the difference will be very, very clear. The difference is going to be a job-creating economic growth in this province. In fact, I find it very strange that this Premier didn't follow the President's lead on the economy of Gauteng. You ignored what the President said in his SONA speech. It seems like things are a bit tough for you in this province that you ignored that.
When are you
We will
retiring?
bring safety to this province, and we've already shown it with the community safety bill that we've submitted to this legislature. One that gives the victims of crime and those people who are not receiving services from the police when they don't want to take their gender violence-based violence cases, so that they can go to an ombudsman to actually lay a complaint and that the police is being held accountable. But you know what, Honourable Premier? Your party is shooting that down because why? Not because it's a bad idea, it's an excellent idea. The only reason you shoot it down is because it's not from you. The President, there will be prudent financial management in this province when the DA takes over. And, you know, when we will be working with municipalities and not against them, like the MEC of administration over there who lost every single court case in the Tshwane debacle, and he's still not being held accountable. If there's somebody that you should be firing, it's him. It's him, with your DID, MEC. But you're okay with these underperforming MECs. You don't mind having them in your cabinet. We will fight e-tolls properly. We will have a dispute, an intergovernmental dispute, to force Fikile Mbalula to scrap e-tolls. He was supposed to be scrapped yesterday in the budget speech. What happened? Another broken promise from the Minister of Transport. It did not happen. It was not even mentioned. We will properly manage the contracts instead of having to face the embarrassment of giving a project over to national government because this province cannot manage it. That is a huge failure, Honourable Premier.
Is that all you've got?
We will be building schools because we know that there's a huge migration to this province. And we will make sure that we plan properly for the future of this province, Honourable Premier. There will be true consequences for corruption, not consequence management that you hide behind. There will be prosecutions, investigations, disciplinaries and criminal charges, which are words that you've left out in your lexicon. We will be on the side of the residents of Gauteng in this province. We will open opportunities for everybody and not just for cadres like the ANC does. Honourable Speaker, it is clear and unambiguous that we will bring that we are prepared for the transition to 2024. Thank you for offering us that opportunity. Thank you very much.
Honourable Lesufi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chair of Chairs, Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker, our Honourable Premier, our Chief Whip, members of the Executive, leaders of political parties, Honourable members. Let me add my voice to the endless voices that wished our Honourable Premier happy birthday on Tuesday, the 22nd of 2022. Let me start by congratulating our Premier for the powerful, thoughtful State of the Province address that he so brilliantly delivers. You excellently unpacked the socio-economic challenges facing our province and went further to propose concrete proposals that will take this province forward. Here we are as the ruling movement of this province, presenting a tangible and workable solution to the socio-economic challenges facing our province with a well-researched, facts-packed State of the Province address. Instead of receiving a decent contribution from the opposition benches, we get a lazy response. There is nothing new in the speech of the Premier. If it's true that there is nothing new in the speech of the Premier, how come we've attracted an investment over 45 billion for the Val SEZ? How come is it possible that this can be a dry season when we have paid almost 20 billion on procuring goods and services from township-based enterprises? How come it can be a dry season? How come it can be a dry season or the same story when the Gauteng broadband network has upgraded 6 core network nodes, thus providing 1,224 new connectivity points and 37 free Wi-Fi breakout points in our province? How come can it be the same story when for the very, very first time, all of us as members of this executive have gone through a vigorous lifestyle audit by the South African Secret Service?
That is new.
You can't.
That's why
I've not gone through, since I was elected an MEC, I've not gone through a lifestyle audit until this Premier, who will leave a legacy as the first Premier to ensure that we don't talk about lifestyle audits, we go through a vigorous lifestyle audit in this particular province. How can it be? No. We can't do the Western Cape one when you hire a law firm to come and do things and do a verdict. Premier, there is someone who said what kind of a legacy you are leaving. You are leaving a legacy that is adding to the galaxy of clean audits departments in this particular province, because we are committed to clean government in this particular province.
Where is the SIU report?
I can go on and on and on the good work that our Premier and this provincial government has done. But what is discouraging? Is that there is nothing, there is nothing discouraging as a boxing champion when you train hard for a serious boxing match only to find that your opponents are weak and swag. That's seriously discouraging. There is nothing discouraging. There is nothing frustrating than to witness the poor quality of debaters that are coming from the opposition benches. They come here claiming that they are government in waiting, but they don't even understand the processes of government. They don't even know how they will prepare to ensure that our people are protected during a serious pandemic than we have done in this particular country. So the verdict...
There is nothing like that.
The verdict is clear. No, don't worry.
We will govern whether you like it.
Are you honorable Lucifer to continue with this debating? No, but no. Sorry.
The verdict.
Can we allow honorable Lucifer, please continue the debate?
On your debaters, it's clear. We can't feel you. We expected you to be on top, but you are forever at the bottom. So discouraging. Let's assist you. Let's assist them, Honorable Premier, because we thought they will come with new ideas, because they claim we are speaking about the same thing every year. Let's just present 2 new ideas, Premier, that you want to deposit to your leadership to consider. Reality is Chair, we want to assist people to give us ideas that can take us forward. People have failed to provide those ideas, Honorable Premier. We want to contribute. Reality is that we need to protect unemployed people in this country. Unemployed people are being abused by people who take them from the unemployment sites, allow them to work. When it's time to pay our workers, they switch off the phone, and the unemployed have nowhere to go and complain. We also believe we need to protect them, especially those that are doing peace jobs, because there are many people who are taking advantage of their situation and not giving them support. So we are of the strong view. Wait, Premier. We are of the strong view that they deserve support and they deserve guidance. Honorable Premier, I was going through various media platforms that carried your speech. Honorable Premier, I was going through various platforms that carried your speech. Your SOPA speech has been well received by the business sector. It has been well received by the academics, and it was well received by communities. To us, that's what matters. Others, it's a shame, it's a dry white season that they have quoted the whole day today. We must not bother ourselves with noisemakers. We must not bother ourselves with noisemakers who fail. Chief Whip, wait. We must not bother ourselves. We must not bother ourselves with noisemakers who fail to attend portfolio committee meetings, but they are the first to howl when you deliver your SOPA speech, Premier. The way member Mukwebo, I'm going to them. The way member Mukwebo was making noise at SOPA, I was looking forward to hear his alternative SOPA in this house, only for him to confirm to all of us that he is nothing but a flat spare tire. As for member Ghana, there is this township language that says, Abantu abanadanki. In everything that we have just said, it's a confirmation that auna danki. And we are not going to find ourselves arguing with you. Member Ramleaf. It is quite clear in everything that you are saying, my good brother. Your body is here, but your mind is on the other side of Action SA. Honorable Member S.T. Msimang, you thought you would dribble us with the choice of a poem by Mungani Wali Surute, The Dry White Season. Obviously, with what is happening in Johannesburg City, you avoided to choose the most popular poem of Wali Surute entitled Joburg, the City of Joburg. Let me quote the stanza that you deliberately avoided so that we can contextualize what is happening in Johannesburg. Listen when I tell you, there is no fun. Listen when I tell you, there is no fun, nothing in it, when you leave the women and men with such frozen expressions. Expressions that have tears like furrows of soil erosion. Joburg City, you are dry like death. Joburg City, Johannesburg, Joburg City, it's painful now. You could not quote that one. You could not quote that one purely because you know what is happening in Johannesburg. So to us, Honorable Premier, as I conclude, to us, Honorable Premier, you have demonstrated your impeccable knowledge on how to run government. So from this house, from this side of the house, we say to you, Premier, ride on, lead us, we are safe under your leadership. And I want to conclude by quoting, Mother Teresa when she says, and I quote, "Yesterday is gone, tomorrow is yet to come. We have only today. Let us begin to make a better life a reality for all." Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Thank you very much, Honorable Lesufi. We will now allow the Premier to reply to the debate on the State of the Province address. Okay? Can you open the other first? It's too late.
Thank you very much.
Premier, I must ask you to sit down. We didn't call out the order, so let me ask the Secretary of the Legislature to call out the next order, which is order number 2.
Premier's reply to the debate on the State of the Province address.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair of Chairs, the Speaker, who had to attend to other issues, the Deputy Speaker, the Chief Whip, members of our Executive Council, members of the Provincial Legislature, the leadership of the parties represented in our legislature. Madam Chair of Chairs, I first want to thank this House, the presiding officers, for giving the opportunity to the House to debate the State of the Province address. Because there's a difference between a debate and a press conference. And we thought, definitely all of us were really expecting that when you are in opposition, what you put on the table is an alternative plan and you show that you can do things differently, and you show that you have a persuasive plan that can make a difference, a plan that's backed by evidence and extensive, credible institutions, yes, as well. Because there was a lot of noise by some members in the opposition in the run-up to the State of the Province address, and we thought they'll move beyond that noise. And really, as they have said after the 2016 elections, they said they are ready, and in 2019, the ANC will be gone and they will be running Gauteng Province. I said in that period, I said to them, leave that question to be answered by the electorate. What you just need to do is to convince us, put on the table what you would do should you be in government. And I counseled, I advised in 2018 towards the 2019 elections, there was a lot of noise in this house. Those who were in this house would remember. Every speech by some members of the opposition and specific parties in the opposition, the DA and the EFF, in that period, every speech will be punctuated by saying you will be out in 2019, you will be sitting in opposition. I advised them in all those debates that leave that question to the electorate. And that leave that question to the electorate. They are the ones who decide who will be in government. Honorable members, it is the electorate which decides who sits in government. So I want to repeat. I want to repeat that it is the electorate which decides who is elected in government. So the noise about you will not be in government, we heard in the run-up to 2019 after the 2016 elections, and this noise being repeated after the 2021 local government. This noise being repeated is simply noise. It's political parties that are avoiding to deal with the question. So what will you do? What will you do if you are in government? Let me tell you what they will do. Yes, please. So let me tell you what they will do. Honorable Msimang, I didn't disrupt you. You are the leader of the opposition. I'm replying to the debate.
Are you sure he's the leader?
I am replying to the debate. I deserve you to listen to if you are serious about what you said. If you are not serious, I don't have to do that. So I want to continue. I want to continue to warn political parties.
You catch feelings now. You want to hit a member, Mr. Minor.
Not in the ANC.
You are even shaking now.
Should we be talking
about
to hit member Mr. who will be running government in 2024?
Get out from that thing and hit him.
That question.
You are even emotional now.
I'm going to expose you, Mkwebo. Just wait. I'm coming to you.
You can start now.
Yeah, I'm coming
you
to
can start now. You can start now.
I'm coming to expose
start now. You are even emotional. You want to hit him.
Just wait for your turn. Wait for your turn. Wait for your turn. Wait for your turn. We gave you your turn. So, honorable members, leave the question of who will be running government after the 2024 elections to the electorate. Those are the people, that's the country I fought for as a young man. The country where it is ultimately the people who decide, not some party, not some parties that sit somewhere, but the people decide which government. And this government was elected by the people. This sixth administration was elected by the people of Gauteng. It was elected by the people of Gauteng, constituted in line with the constitution of our republic. So leave that So if you were to be elected to run this province, what is clear again and again is that there's no plan. All you can talk about passionately, absolutely passionately, is what is it that the ANC did not do. And we have tried, and I want to keep coming back to Honorable Albert. I want to keep coming back to you. You have promised you will deliver a plan, and I'm sure your promise will happen. It is not a new promise. As we got into COVID, you promised you are going to develop a plan. Let me tell you, the ANC awaits that plan. We want to scrutinize it. We want to scrutinize your plan. On the DA side, we have given on many occasions, I have asked the Democratic Alliance, what will you do if you were to govern Gauteng? Stop telling us that you are going to govern Gauteng in 2019. You did not govern Gauteng. In 2024, it won't be determined by you. In fact, there are people sitting there who I know will be sitting somewhere else in another party. There are people sitting there, and they know they will be sitting somewhere else in another party. So leave that question. Leave that question. The fundamental question is everything that you have put here. So everything that you have put here. So the first thing is the closest person I've listened to in the DA who makes sense is on agriculture, Member Siliers. The closest person on agriculture who makes sense in the DA is Member Siliers, Honorable Siliers. When she talks about agriculture, you can hear that it is somebody who has not just fed ideological claptrap. You can hear that it is someone who understands the situation of farmers, who understands agriculture in Gauteng. And when she raises issues with our Department of Agriculture, it is the sort of things we would like to engage on. So on this side, yes, we have philosophical positions, yes. We have an ideological outlook, yes, we do have, like the liberals and the illiberals, that side. And the ultra-leftist, extremist, and confused, this side. We do have a philosophical orientation. So we do have a philosophical, but let me tell you, when we talk about what in the end we want a government plan that is backed by evidence, the government, and we have put before our province, and in the State of the Province address, we have reorganized. We can't come with new ideas, Honorable Damin. We get accused in the 2019 State of the Province. You get accused by one member who will not be here who will not be sitting where he is sitting in 2024. When we put something on the table, that one member says, but you are coming with new ideas when you have been the government all along. So when you come with new ideas, you get accused. Why are you coming with new ideas? When we say the conditions require that we reprioritize. So let me thank the people of Gauteng. After listening to the parties, a lot of it has been said, and today the parties were given the opportunity to put forward. That's what to be in opposition is. You put an alternative. You don't make noise. You must criticize, yes, the government, but put the alternative. Member Gan, I've never heard you talk about an alternative other than wanting to go into the public service because you are sick and tired about the DA. I've never heard you put an alternative other than coming to me to say you are sick and tired of this DA thing. You want to go into the public service. Is that the kind of alternative you are putting forward? That's every time we put an alternative, we put a plan, we implement a plan. We want to hear you, Honorable Nell. What is this confused alternative? What is your? Let me tell you, there's Honorable Shackleton in your. When he talks about crime, I know he speaks very fast. He speaks very fast with this voice that's like a baby at one point crying. But when he talks about crime, I think at times I think he makes sense. There are things there when he talks about crime. I want to say to you, the point I'm making to you, the ANC does, and this government does listen to opposition members when they raise, even with their voice that are shrill, when they raise something that makes sense, we go back and look into that. When Honorable Shackleton talks about crime in the townships and what we need to do in Mamelodi, it's just that he doesn't say you have already done this in Mamelodi. He wants it to appear like it's a new idea, but he's got passion to say on issues of crime you need to do. So let me tell you, therefore, to be in official opposition, you are doing an injustice to yourselves. So I listened to the so-called real state of the province address. I listened to that because I must listen to you. I don't know if you listened to what Honorable Msimanga said during the week, last week. When you listen to what he says, you can just see, you can just see the poverty of ideas. It is not surprising, Honorable Msimanga. It's not surprising that you couldn't stay long in Swan. You really couldn't stay long there. So we put family on the table. Apart from GGT 2030, apart from the transformation, modernization, and reindustrialization plan, apart from those plans that we have put to the people of our province. So in this state of the province address, Honorable Chair of Chairs, can I continue? Thank you so much. So we put forward a theme that was well received about moving beyond the public health pandemic to place at the center of an emergency response the issue of the economy and jobs, the issue of service delivery, confronting crime and corruption. This theme, yes, some of our members in opposition support this theme, but they want to see action. And I want to say that Honorable Dlamini and Honorable Adams, your support for the theme, and which says this must really turn into action, is what you are going to see us doing on all the issues you are raising. This theme has been widely supported, widely welcomed across the province. And let me tell you, there's somebody here who says we don't need an emergency, we need an economic response. Just to expose how double-twisted the tongue of the DA is. Double-twisted. So the Premier of the Western Cape says something like this. We have been in a public health pandemic. We must move and now tackle the pandemic of unemployment. And he says with the emergency that we dealt with, the situation of COVID-19. Listen. You understand. We sit this.
Honorable Mkwebo, we won't finish. Can you try and minimize heckling, please?
So colleagues, the DA is a very interesting thing. Anything that comes from comes from the ANC, the first thing is that they must reject it. That's what ideological claptrap is about. So they first have to see that, and they first have to wait for Madame to say, now you can support it. I know how you feel, on Honorable Ghana. I know how you feel when I mention Madame. I know that. I know how sore your heart is. Your heart is sore. Absolutely so. You can smile. So, Honorable Msima. So let's. So for the past 8. So Honorable members, so I listened carefully to Honorable Msima about what is it that he, as the leader of the opposition, would want done. I listened very, very carefully. And so he goes, he confidently says, basically, that we have not done anything to support small businesses and township businesses. And the truth is that he knows how much the 6th administration of the ANC currently and the 5th administration of the ANC, because that information is in all our State of the Province addresses. It's there. From 600 million to over 20 billion in a period of 8 years. Emisita was mentioning just now in the current financial year what support is being given to small businesses. And those are small businesses. They are not people who are sitting in your pocket. They are in communities. We are working with them. So if the honorable member believes, you don't try to enhance your electoral chances by thinking that this information will not be told. Our job is to tell the people of our province. This is what we have done. This is the problem we have encountered. And this is what we are doing about that problem. That's our responsibility. It's not the job of the opposition. We know you are aspiring to be in government, but we give you an opportunity. You are given an opportunity to state what you want done, what you would like to see. There is really nothing that you have put forward in this province. And what shocks me is when you say you don't need a new bill on the township economy. It shocks me. And this was repeated by another member on your side. The people of this province who are business people in the townships they want a new bill to be passed as of yesterday. Firstly, the people of Gauteng want a new bill. They have said so. They have said so themselves. So, Honorable Msima, please don't misrepresent the people. Yes. Don't misrepresent the people. And that bill shall be passed whether you like it or not. That bill shall be passed. It is coming here because that's what the people of our province want it. You can easily oppose it like you're opposing the DDM. I did hear Honorable Bosch stating why you will oppose the DDM, the district development model. You can oppose it. We are going to table it to this house. Everywhere across the province, people are waiting for that bill to be passed, and they've made it very clear what they want to see in the final draft. So this legislature will do. So you don't like it, you say, but don't say the people. Just say, we don't want that bill. They want progressive legislation that removes obstacles to their growth. So that's exactly what we are going to do. So it's absolutely fundamental. So, honorable members, so there's been talk about a number of incomplete projects, and the State of the Province address says the incomplete projects are the priority of this sixth administration. This sixth administration is left with 2 years, like all administrations elected in 2019. We're left with 2 years. And we know in the next 2 years, some of you were saying, in these 2 years, prioritize this, do that. Infrastructure projects that are not complete is the priority of our administration. This is the sixth administration led by the ANC in Gauteng province. So you had that point you are raising, whether it's a school or an ECD center, it is a matter of priority for us. One thing I said, which I don't hear the members following up on, but those who try speak as if it's original. They don't say it comes from the speech. Is that all these departments will focus also on other alternative implementing agents. We're not going to rely on one mechanism of delivery of projects. We're not going to do that. We've made it clear. We're going to look at several alternative implementing agents. I'm not going to, so I just want to emphasize that the issue of the Department of Infrastructure Development, I heard what you say. Table your motion about the dissolution of that department. We are waiting for it. I want to repeat. The Western Cape, after a long time, establishes a Department of Infrastructure Development. After a long time, establishes a Department of Infrastructure Development. And when I look at what they say that department must do, it's precisely what we wanted our DID to do, but they also brought other infrastructure in there. They brought other infrastructure in there, and they said they would want to consolidate. They also talk about the infrastructure agency. We have an infrastructure agency in this province. We have, so the important issue is, you say, let me tell you, we will not dissolve that department. Where I agree with you, Honorable Mkwebo, I agree with you, because I'm still going to come to you. I'm going to come to you, yeah. Just where I agree with you is that the Department of Infrastructure Development must operate by our construction agents. So you say it needs to be capacitated. We have to ensure that this is not only there in every department. We have to ensure that the department is run by competent professionals who are not absorbed into the size of projects. So those things you were saying, and then you say, you go on and talk about a construction, state construction agents. That's what we want the department. So you and I agree, we agree. We want it to operate at that level. Not to dissolve it, not to disband it. And that's what we are going to do. We're not going to disband a department whose case has been made. We're not going to do that. And you know what? I'm the only one who's responsible for the performance of the MECs. You can assess them. You can assess them. You can criticize them. You can criticize them. You can do all sorts of things. But in the end, the Constitution of the Republic only gives me the responsibility to make decisions on who is an MEC and who is not. I'm not happy with your performance, first and foremost, as the opposition. As the opposition, I'm not happy with your performance. So I shouldn't fire you. Arrogant. Okay, I must leave it to the electorate. Ne? I'll leave it to the electorate. Thank you so much. So, colleagues in the ANC, I want to assure you, we have done another round of evaluation and stock taking of the performance. We've just done it before, and I'm saying another round because we do that. We did the midterm review of the performance of the Gauteng Provincial Government. I gave a report to the people of the province. The State of the Province address was about giving to the people of our province the midterm review of the performance of this administration. The second thing I've done is we have now done a stock take, delivery stock take of every department. In the midst of COVID-19, what is it the departments achieved? And in the period where we have been reopening the economy, what is it? So the reorganization of the priorities as we put them. What we call declaring an emergency to deal with jobs and the economy, service delivery, to deal with crime and deal with corruption. The reorganization of these priorities is based on a concrete and objective assessment, an evaluation of what every department has done, and the decision on who continues to serve in the Executive Council is the decision I make, entrusted with that by the Constitution of the Republic. Who I consult in the movement that's governing here, it's for me to discuss with the leadership of the ANC. So your task is to hold this administration accountable. So don't enter something that you have no constitutional duty to do, to decide who is MEC and who is not. It's not the role of an opposition party. You want to sound a bit cleverish by saying, no, we will support you if you change so-and-so, we will support you. I don't need your support. I don't need your support. It will be based on an objective assessment and what the Constitution entrusts me to do. So don't try to appear like we will support you if you do this. We don't work like that. I also want to say, honorable members, in very specific terms, this week, just yesterday, I met with a team of law enforcement officers, 20 of them, but that team in total is made up of 30 members. They are a specialized team established by General Mawela. This specialized team was mentioned in MEC Mazbuko's speech, and she was speaking, and there was lots of noise. That specialized team I met them yesterday. A team made up of young people, fearless young people, very brave, representing South Africa in all its makeup. It's made up of the South African Police Service specialized units, including the ones who are the highway patrol, the ones we bought the new BMW. It's also made up of the Johannesburg Metro Police and Ekurhuleni Metro Police, what's called those specialized units that deal with really, really dangerous crimes. It's made up of the traffic unit in the traffic department, the traffic section of community safety, that are the guys who really give a chase to the criminals on the road. They have also the road traffic management, the RTMC also in that. That is the team, honorable members, that on Monday, whilst we were in the State of the Province address, that team confronted the most deadly gang. That is the team that took on that most deadly gang. So I met with them yesterday for them, firstly, just to thank them on behalf of the people of our province, and thank them on your behalf as the public representatives. One by one, thank them one by one. Ask them a little bit, who are you? And one thing they said is that they want us to know that there are rogues in the law enforcement agencies. They are there. They say they are there, but they are a generation that want to make South Africa proud. They said, I must tell you, they are a generation, they want to, firstly, they will not be afraid of criminals. And they said, we took on this armed gang, the CIT most dangerous gang, we took them on, and we took down 9 of them. And they said, we are following up in other areas. We are not going to be afraid. Incidentally, in that team, I had met some of the Metro Police guys from Ekurhuleni who had been part of some of their most amazing operations. One of them, we went with them in Ekurhuleni at Leondale, where they found vehicles parked there, large assortment of weapons in there. And that's the same team. They are part of this integrated unit that has been established by our Provincial Commissioner of Police. This legislature must also know, I also met last year the police team established by General Mawela, which cracked down and arrested the killers of Babita last year. You remember that police team? In the shortest space of time, they tracked down all those criminals who killed our distinguished public servant. They tracked them down. That team, I also met them the same way. I met those ones last year and thanked them for the work they have done on behalf of our province. So the police are doing their work, colleagues. There's another unit that cracked down, another unit arresting people some members of whom are in crime intelligence. Some of them had even the cars of the vehicles of the Hawks. There's another unit that cracked down on those. So on the issues of fighting crime, I don't think any one of us, and I want to say MEC Mazbuko, our chair of the Portfolio Committee, member Gogo Ndovana, and that shrill voice of member Shackleton needs to be harnessed into our efforts to fight crime. Behind that shrill voice, there's a good intention. There's a powerful good intention behind that shrill voice. So essentially, honorable members, all the issues we said in the State of the Province address about fighting crime, all the issues we said about, they are real. Our law enforcement forces on the ground are organized to do so. The criminals must know it will not be safe. It will not be safe any longer. The same gang, yes, just yesterday, you remember our unit cracked down this gang yesterday in Botswana. The same gang seems to be operating transnationally. The same gang was cracked. The Botswana police killed 10 of them. Yesterday, the 23rd. The mode of operation is the same. It's people who belong to almost 2-3 countries, South Africans, Botswana residents, 1 or 2 people from one of our countries in the SADC region. So our response must really be adequate. When I hear you criticizing the police, firstly, it's a good thing that we urge our police officers to be up to the task. But you must appreciate the work that's being done by the men and women like the ones I met yesterday. Young, fearless, they walk around like Ndrekeze. They cover their faces. They are a specialized unit. We can't even tell you their names because they must do that work behind the scenes. Yeah, we have the same situation with the GBV team. So those dealing with gender-based violence, that specialized unit of very dedicated police officers, at least those ones are also working with the prosecution authority to make sure that there are prosecutions. So it is absolutely important. So when you talk about being in government in 2024, don't just talk about being in government because you are going to. You must be able to say, what is it that we want done in this province? We need to see and know your plans, which so far we haven't had. We haven't had any, at least from those who have been in this legislature longer, and those who appear to be aspirant, who aspire to be leaders on the other side. And we don't want to enter your politics, by the way, and leave our politics alone. Leave the ANC politics alone. We don't want to enter your politics. There is something that we have always said we don't want to enter, except when you really, really provoke us. When you provoke us, you want to enter what's happening in the ANC. We will tell you what's happening in the DA. But they have been talking about the ANC, your colleagues here. That's all they're talking about. Tell them they mustn't do that. So honorable members, on this side, don't be provoked by what they say about what's happening in the ANC. I am the Premier of Gauteng. And my term ends in 2024. And in that sense, you are right, yes. I can't be Premier after 2024. That will be unconstitutional. I can't be Premier after 2024. But don't say the ANC will not be in power in 2024. You are not the one who decides. It is again the electorate. The electorate will have a final verdict on this issue. So I want to say that, honorable members, I think one of the important things during the State of the Province address I listened to is polemics. And I'm sure you know by now that if you want polemics, if you invite polemics, you will get them. If you want substance, if you want polemics, you will get them. Ask those who were here before who are not here. Yeah. If you want polemics, you'll get polemics. I want to finish the substance of the State of the Province address. Has not been challenged. Yes. Our reorganization of our priorities about what must be done in Gauteng has not been challenged. What are they saying? Make it happen. Make it happen. That's what we want to do. We want to make it happen. And I also want to say that we will make it happen working with municipalities, whether you really like it or not. Unless if you disregard the Constitution of the Republic. Because some of you are liberals who pretend that you swear by the Constitution. Only when you like it, when the Constitution says in our country we have cooperative governance, it's an integral tenet of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. So when we say to the mayors, when we say to the mayors, we are going to work with you whether you belong to the coalition governments or not.
Cheers.
Honorable members,
thank you very much.
All the things we said we are going to do in the State of the Province address shall be done. They shall be done. And in the State of the Province address, we say we are left with 2 years as the 6th administration. We said in the 2 years of the 6th administration, all those things shall be our primary focus.
Until June.
Who is this gentleman? You must ask your DA colleagues. Please don't do that. Honorable member, don't do that. Please ask your DA colleagues. You don't do that. You can even ask Honorable Nair. Honorable Nair, advise your colleague there. Thank you. Thank you. I want to repeat. No, he won't repeat it. So I want to repeat, honorable members, we are going to, we have 2 years.
We are still
as the sixth administration to conclude our mandate. This is the sixth administration led by the ANC. We have 2 years to complete our mandate. As to what will happen in 2024 is for the people of our province to decide. We want to work with you. Honorable Adams, we want to work with you. Honorable Dlamini, we are working with you. In this province, no, I thought you won't do that to me, Honorable Nene. I'm past you there. Yeah, I'm done with you. So, of all the things that Member Mukwebo has said, I think the most important thing Member Mukwebo has said is that we need to build a capacity of infrastructure development that looks like it's a state construction company. Let's give him a big round of applause. Let's give him that. Honorable, that's really the only thing that makes sense. Because all other things you are threatening to do, you will continue to do. You know we will meet you pound by pound on the ground. We will meet you pound by pound on the ground. You are not Mukwebo. You are not Mukwebo. Honorable Bloom. Honorable, don't hide. You know I won't pass you. But of all the things you know today you said, which is very important, is empowering CEOs. And colleagues would know, empowering those who are running institutions on the ground is the only best way to invest in building institutions. So, Honorable Bloom, this idea you are saying, and it's not new, you know it's not new. If you look into the State of the Province address in 2019, you will find there that we're talking about decentralization from the provincial health headquarters, decentralizing more budgets and functions to the districts and the institutions at a lower level. But even with your hatred of cadre deployment and all the things that you have said, that's something that we take. We take the issue of empowering CEOs very seriously. But I wish you were running the DA. I think Moriarty will not be sitting in the mayor's office. Because the way you hate cadre deployment, but it's happening right in front of you. It's happening right in front of you. So he was sitting there. He was sitting here, Honorable. So Honorable Bloom, I know that they may outnumber you. They may outnumber you. I know you don't want people who are sitting, who are politicians here, who then get brought into the administration. You have been criticizing that. But just be consistent for the last time. We will remember you. We will remember. If he can criticize the deployment of Mike Moriarty from being a member of the legislature to go and run an office of the mayor. If you can, Honorable Blue, I want to believe. Honorable Blue. Honorable Blue. Honorable Blue. I want to believe you, Honorable Blue.
It's
Honorable
enough.
Blue.
Honorable members, please. Honorable members. Honorable members, please.
Honorable Bloom, I want to believe you that you really, really hate cadre deployment. But cadre deployment cannot have party colors, and it cannot have color of skin, and it cannot have gender.
There is a cadre who was deployed in the city of Tshwane. The cadre who was deployed. No. Marietta. Is that Marietta? Marietta Oakam. It's a cadre who was deployed. So, Honorable Bloom, if you are really consistent, I want to believe. If you can't sort it in your party, there's a municipality in the Western Cape where they were stopped by the DA to make appointments on managers. In the Western Cape, there's a municipality that was stopped, not because the provincial government, in line with the constitution, needed to come back to them, but that municipality run by the DA was prevented until the leadership of the DA in the province had to see and approve who is appointed. The Constitution of the Republic does not give the DA power. That's exactly what the Zondo Commission has been dealing with when it comes to the ANC. So, cadre deployment. So, so thank you very much, Honorable Town. Honorable Town, thank you very much.
Okay.
For your contribution to the debate.
Amen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mazibuko, for your contribution to the debate. Thank you very much, Honorable Lisufi, for your contribution to the debate. Thank you very much, Chief Whip, for your contribution to the debate. And I think we must give Last Born a big round of applause. Last Born. We thank. I've already thanked. They are not our coalition. We don't have a coalition in the legislature, but we work together. But I want to extend this again. But ideas and Makwao, Makwao, Ghana. I want to sit down with you, just outside politics. Outside, I want to sit down with you. I want to extract the DA's economic plan for Gauteng from you. Maybe in this house you are overwhelmed. All I hear is your criticism of the department. I want to extract it from you. At least, about education I know. You just have the passion to accompany MEC Lisufi everywhere he goes. Yeah. You are not ill, Mini. You have no plan other than you just love his plans. And when he doesn't implement those plans, I think it's good that you must force him to implement the plans. You must force him to implement these plans in that kind of way. So colleagues, in the ANC, this is my last point. In the ANC, the issues of corruption are discussed in the ANC, in this province, every committee, every report, and the determination to make sure that this ANC-led province will demonstrate for all and sundry to see that it doesn't matter how committed those who are carrying out acts of corruption, but we are more determined, like those young people I was referring to. We will meet them pound by pound. Those who are corrupt must know we will meet them pound by pound. Like the police units are meeting criminals on the ground pound by pound. And I know you are not interested in the report I gave in the State of the Province address. You are not interested, and you think we are not going to release this report together with the Gauteng Ethics Council. They are going to be very disappointed, honorable members. They are going to be extremely disappointed. But we must say, We are definitely saying. So the ANC is not going to be distracted. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The ANC is not going to be distracted. Honorable Mukwebo, I am sparing you for today. Yeah, I'm done. I know you were holding your heart.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier, for your response to the debate. That concludes the business for the day. The next meeting will be on the 3rd of March 2020. Thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned. Hey, when?
No, 2022.
MC?
2022.
Thank you. Yo.